record the session. Before starting our today's session, a brief background. We started our certification with an introduction to Agile. We talked about what used to happen when there was no Agile, how people used to manage software projects. We have seen waterfall approach and V-shaped model for software development lifecycle. From there, we have seen that the knowledge workers, or you can say software developers or the engineers, they realize that the way they are working and the waterfall approach is not the best way to do the technology projects, or you can say knowledge projects. So what they did is, like in 1990s, they start developing different ways of working. We call them Agile way of working. In 1990s, the Agile term was not coined. The Agile term was first coined back in 2001, once Agile Manifesto was published. And that manifesto include 4 core values and 12 foundational principles. We went through all of them, and then after that we have seen that, okay, what's the best way of doing, what's the best way of starting Agile? We have seen that it's important to understand the mindset first before choosing any particular method, for example, Scrum or XP or DSDM, etc. Then we start learning about fundamentals of Agile. We have seen that it's an iterative process instead of big upfront planning or big upfront design. We do work in an iterative fashion, and we try to deliver value in an incremental fashion. We also seen that we decompose the work into small batches. That's basically Agile mindset, and also that's lean mindset as well. And then we have seen one of the very popular method of Agile, that was Scrum. And we looked on Scrum and how Scrum help us to implement Agile way of working, especially for smaller teams. We have seen that how one iteration of Scrum runs, how many different type of ceremonies are prescribed by Scrum, how many different artifacts are proposed by Scrum, what are different roles on Scrum, so on and so forth. After that, we shifted our discussion towards discipline Agile. And then basically we talked about that, okay, Agile is already 20 years old. Where Agile brought a lot of benefits, we have seen that, okay, there are some issues as well. And the challenges are, because like things are evolving, Agile Manifesto can be improved. Its values could be improved. Instead of thinking about working software, we should think about a larger picture where we should talk about consumable solutions than just working software. We have also seen that many different alliances, many different thought leaders who gave us many different frameworks and methods, such as Scrum Safe, Nexus, Spotify, etc. They are only focusing on their own frameworks, their own ways, and they are basically pushing the self-organizing teams to choose the way of working as prescribed by in each of those methods, instead of going back to the actual principles where we believe in self-organization. Mean team should choose their own way of working instead of an Agile coach or Scrum Master is telling them what is the right way to choose. And after making the case of discipline Agile, we shifted our discussion towards discipline Agile itself. We have seen that, okay, we can understand discipline Agile. That is not a framework, that is not a single method, but it is a toolkit. We call it process decision toolkit. Mean it help us to decide about our processes, decide about our activities that we do on our technology projects, or you can say technology powered projects. Okay, these technology powered projects could be purely software, that could be hardware, that could be like any sophisticated engineering system, but still technology powered. Okay. And then we discussed that we can understand discipline Agile from 4 different views. And the first view was the discipline Agile mindset. The second view was and discipline agile people. Third view was discipline agile proposed life cycles, or you can say discipline agile proposed flow of the work. And the lastly, we had a look uh, on discipline agile from practices viewpoint, agile practices viewpoint, and we call them process goals. Okay, we are going to discuss all of them in much more depth in the upcoming sessions. In fact, that's the focus of it. But uh, important thing is when we start looking on discipline agile from mindset viewpoint, we spend quite a lot of time understanding discipline agile principles, discipline agile guidelines, and discipline agile promises. Why? Because like the agile practices or any type of practices, with the passage of time, they evolve. Okay, they can be changed, they can be altered. However, the principles are the things, the mindset is the thing that remains for much longer period as compared to any particular practice or any particular tool. So mindset understanding is very important. We have seen that there were quite a lot of like around 8 principles, 7 guidelines, and there were 7 promises that discipline agile teams make with each other, or they make with their stakeholders to be an awesome team, to make our stakeholders delighted or happy. And then when we start looking on discipline agile people, again, as discipline agile is an agnostic and hybrid toolkit, it means that discipline agile doesn't prescribe us anything. They doesn't require that we should have only product owner, uh, scrum master, and the team. They don't prescribe this. What they say that, okay, we recommend you a few primary roles, few supporting roles, but again, we don't require you that you should have only these roles. You can have roles as per your context, as per your team needs, as per your organizational needs. Okay, so that's the key difference between a standard agile method and the discipline agile toolkit. We have seen 5 primary roles, and we have seen a number of supporting roles and many other roles within an organization. After looking on discipline agile people or discipline agile roles, we start talking about uh, we call it choice is good. But discipline agile believes that it's not compulsory that all of your teams within an organization is doing only just one method. For example, Scrum. Maybe one team is doing Scrum, maybe another team is doing Kanban, maybe another team who is like in R&D or who is developing minimum viable products, they may like to have exploratory life cycle. Similarly, if the team is part of a program, or you can think of like a team of teams, okay, a sub team, then they might like to go for program-based life cycle instead of a project or product-based life cycle. Uh, we are going to look on these life cycles in the upcoming slides as well. Okay, but we covered them quite a lot in our last session. We had a very brief look on the process goals. Process goals are, you can say that, foundational bricks or building bricks of DA toolkit. In fact, before going in depth of process goals, if you remember, guys, we talk about DA landscape. And when I say DA landscape, it talks about how DA helps a single team, for example, a delivery team or solution team, to become agile, but also helps you to become agile even on a higher levels, mean throughout the organization. So discipline agile landscape helps us to give a comprehensive guidance that how your team can become an agile team, how you can use DevOps but in a disciplined way. And when we talk about DevOps, it is more about not only solution development team, but many other teams, especially operations, support, security, data, and in fact, business operations as well. There are in total 4 layers in DA landscape. The first layer is foundation layer, where we talk about principles and life cycles. Second layer is DevOps, as I just mentioned. The third layer is value stream layer. And value stream is basically talking about, okay, your products and services, where not only you will have your solution development team, where not only you will have your IT department, but you will have many other departments, including marketing, including sales, including legal, including operations. But important thing is, like, the purpose of all of these departments and their teams to work together is to serve the customers. So value stream is something that start with the customer, continues with the customer, and end at a customer. Mean, once a customer gives you a request, it goes through different departments, different teams. We should organize ourselves, our teams, in such a way that we can serve our client in an optimal way, okay, without delays. By delivering the value to our customer. And then last layer is discipline agile enterprise, where all other departments of any enterprise come. For example, finance department, or enterprise architecture department, the department who takes care of not only IT architecture, but business architecture and many other architecture as well, so on and so forth. So we had a look on DA landscape. And then we talked about Discipline Agile Scrum Master. Who is Discipline Agile Scrum Master? How he or she can help the team to become an agile team, a self-organized, self-managed, semi-autonomous team. Okay, and today when we will be discussing, we always be putting ourselves in the shoes of a discipline agile scrum master, and we will be looking excuse me, we will be looking at how discipline agile scrum master will help the team to choose their way of working. But again, it is very, very important to understand that discipline agile allows us and provide us the tools that help us in scaling. We talked about 2 types of scaling. Do anyone remember 2 types of scalings? Does anyone remember what those 2 types of scalings that discipline agile help us? Umar.
It was something functional or something like that, like across organizations, across departments, or whether it was
Yeah.
mixed.
So we call it strategic scaling and tactical scaling. Strategic scaling is talking about when we scale agile way of working from a team level to organizational level, to many other teams, to many other departments, in fact, throughout the organization. That's called strategic scaling. And on the other side, tactical scaling is only focusing on team wise scaling. Remember, guys, most of the agile methods, especially the scaled agile methods such as Nexus and Safe, they provide you scaling, or you can say strategic scaling. They help you to scale the agile from team level to organization level. However, they don't provide a detailed support in tactical scaling. Mean, based on the circumstances of your team, based on the factors that are associated with your team. Now, today, when we will be talking about how a discipline agile scrum master will be helping the team to choose their way of working, we will talk about this scaling called tactical scaling. Let's move to our slides. Can you scale? Sorry, can you see the slides?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, cool, awesome. Now, guys, when we are choosing our way of working using discipline agile, remember that it is a 5-step process. In next few slides, we are going to look the first 2 steps, and then in the upcoming slides, we will be looking rest of those 5 steps. The first step is analyze the context. The thing is, we are talking about context from the last sessions. Context is unique to each team, okay? And when we are basically choosing our way using tactical scaling, we always keep the context in mind. Context in mind mean it's not compulsory that, okay, you will always have team of same size. So your team size could be different for different projects or products. Similarly, your team geographical distribution is another factor that counts into your context. Organizational distribution, compliance requirements, technical complexity, and domain complexity. In total, 6 factors are the contributor to your tactical scaling. Okay, these 6 factors determine your context, and based on that context, we do the tactical scaling. So that's the first step of choosing your wow. The second step is, once you have analyzed your context, you come to know about, okay, what is your team size, how geographically and department wise they are distributed, how much is the compliance requirement for your project or product, etc., etc. The second step is you try to find the best life cycle. And if you remember in the previous sessions, there are total 6 life cycles that is proposed by discipline agile. Those life cycles are, what are those life cycles, Sarah? Do you remember any?
No, I cannot recall them right now.
That's all right. So there were 6 life cycles. 2 of them were project-based life cycles, mean the teams who are gathered together for a single project. For them, we have agile-based life cycle, and if you remember, I call it Scrum Plus life cycle. The second was uh, lean life cycle, that is basically Kanban based life cycle. The third was for product team. In fact, third and fourth both were for product teams instead of project teams. Product teams are those teams who are long-standing stable teams. It's not compulsory that they are always working on one product. They might be working on one product. Next time they are doing another product, or even a project is brought to them, but important thing is the team is stable. They are working with each other for long time. For those type of teams, we have 2 life cycles. We call them continuous delivery agile and continuous delivery lean. Okay, and if you remember, I told you that continuous delivery lean is one of the best life cycle for a team, and it should be the aim of a team. Either they started from this life cycle or they started from this life cycle. They should strive for this life cycle, continuous delivery lean life cycle. On top of that, 2 more life cycles were exploratory. Exploratory life cycle is, uh, you can say, lean startups. This is where we develop the MVPs, or where we develop the prototypes. Okay, and the last life cycle was program life cycle. Okay, and program life cycle is when multiple teams are working together for a larger solution. Now, once we analyze our context, the next step is choose the best life cycle. Once we chose our best life cycle, it's very easy to move further. Okay. And the third step is connect the dots. Connect the dots mean that, okay, uh, it is now DA toolkit, the actual toolkit, where we talk about process goals. And Umar, do you remember how many process goals were there for solution delivery?
22, something like that.
21 process goals. And do you remember how these process goals were organized?
In 3 phases. I think
In 3
conceptualization,
phases. True,
initialization, construction, and
true,
delivery or something.
true. So 21 process goals, or you can call them process outcomes. Okay. They are distributed into 3 phases: inception, construction, and transition. And also they are divided into another category. We call them ongoing category. It is not a phase, but it is set of those process goals who run from start till end, or you can say ongoing process goals. Good thing is the DA thought leaders are not stopping and they didn't fix the process goals. So it means that you can expect more process goals. What happened is in September 2021, just 1 month ago, they added 3 more process goals into the category of ongoing. Okay. And in the upcoming session, we will be talking about all those process goals. Okay. 24 different process goals. What is the purpose of these process goals?
To help you basically understand the process in the life cycle that you need to cater and steps that you have to take for that particular life cycle.
True. And also it helps you to keep focus. Keep focus on your activities, on your processes. For example, in Inception, what should you do in the start of a project or a product development, and what activities, what processes you should be doing in the construction, and what should be the outcome of those processes. Similarly, in transition and ongoing. Now, after that, once we understood those processes, we know that each process is depicted, is elaborated with the help of
Process diagram.
a goal diagram. Okay. So what is goal diagram? Goal diagram is a further elaboration of each process that tells, for example, okay, let me take an example. Pharma team. Okay. Pharma team is a process goal. And goal diagram tells us that, okay, when we are forming a team, what are the things we should be keeping in mind, or what type of decision we will be making when we will be forming a team. So each goal diagram consists of decision points, and for each decision point, many different agile strategies are provided by DA toolkit to make the decision. So what we will do, when we will have a good understanding of all the process goals, next step would be, we will be looking at, okay, which process goal I need. Maybe my team is already formed, maybe my funding is already secured, but I might need help to develop a plan for testing or quality assurance, or I have to think about the strategies, how to release my product into the transition. Maybe I need strategy to align my team direction with the organizational direction, with the organizational roadmaps, so on, so forth. So fourth step is you make some choices, okay, based on your need. Uh, and then what you do? Basically, you practice those choices. You use those strategies. Okay, for example, You chose a strategy, okay, you will develop a product roadmap. You use it and then see that, okay, if product roadmap is something that is helpful to me or not. Maybe later you realize that product roadmaps are something that are just not helpful at all. Or maybe you chose a strategy of developing a product backlog, and later you realize product backlog scope is very limited. I should have a better thing, for example, uh, item list, or for example, item pool, where not only I have features, but many other things as well. So important thing is you make the choices, you experiment, you run it, okay, and then you keep on assessing it. You keep on evaluating your choices. If they are working fine, awesome. Not working fine, you have to abandon them and you can choose a different strategy. Obviously, when I say you, not discipline agile scrum master, I'm talking about team. Okay, team abandon the strategy and go and try to choose an other strategy. That is basically our last step, or you can say step 5, that is practice continuous improvement. We just not stuck with one agile practice. We, as our context is evolving, as we are learning, we keep on practicing continuous improvement. So these are the 5 steps. Any question about these steps? Now let's move further and try to understand first 2 steps in more depth. And the first 2 steps are, Charles? You are on mute.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So the first 2 steps are analyze the context, and after that, select the best fit life cycle.
Cool. Awesome. So these are first 2 steps. Okay. Now try to understand, analyze the context. This is a tool that is provided by Discipline Agile, and you can see that it is a spider diagram. Okay. This tool help us to analyze our context. How we will analyze this context? Basically, we will be thinking about these 6 factors that are in front of you. Now, Sohail, what do you think? How can we read this spider diagram?
As we discussed earlier, closer to the center we are
Yes.
more simplistic and we are better.
True.
But naturally, there will be circumstances where we cannot be closer to center. So we
True.
have to organize our way of working accordingly.
True. True. It is very linear. If you are near to center, your problem is comparatively simpler. However, as you go away from the center, your situation, your context become more and more risky, more and more complex. For example, if you have much larger team, like of 250 people, okay, then your situation would be totally different. You have to do much more activities as compared to when you got team of, for example, 10 people. Similarly, if your team is co-located, things are pretty easy. But if your team is global, then just think about it. How many risks will be involved? How much effort you have to put in the collaboration, in the coordination of activities, and also confirming that, okay, vision is shared among the team members. Similarly, if your team is from a single division, for example, solution development, it's easy. However, if your team has like many other people, like cross-functional people, for example, marketing team is, marketing members are part of your team. For example, business analysts are part of your team, and many other are part of your team, coming from many different functional departments, then things will become comparatively more complex. But if you have contractors, or if you outsource some of your work, you have to think carefully that, okay, which life cycle I'm going to choose, what would be my reporting requirements, what would be my governance requirements, so on and so forth. Maybe instead of running your iterations for 1 month, single iteration for 1 month, you might prefer to run iterations for 1 week each because you got contractors on your team, or you outsource your work. You want to get feedback much earlier so that your product should be as per your need. And then there comes compliance. As we talked about, if there is no compliance, for example, you are developing a simple website, for example, a training company website where requirements are much lesser, things are easy. But for example, if you are developing a website who are offering something that requires some process compliance, okay, that you have to follow particular processes around privacy, processes around sending the, for example, your reports to the government after, for example, 6 months or a year, etc. Things will get complicated. And if your website is, or your product is, for example, related to financial aspects, for example, fintech products or e-commerce products, things will become much and much complicated. But if you go to next stage where it is life critical, your product may impact on the human life or even on the animal's life, things will become much more complicated. Compliance will be much higher. For example, you are developing a drone, or for example, you are working for a nuclear reactor. All those are very, very complex scenarios. Or you are a part of like Airbus, where like you are part of teams who make like aeroplanes. Things are much more complex and require much more compliance. There might be a lot of requirements of documentation, so on and so forth. And then technical complexity. We talked about technical complexity. If your solution is just one solution, maybe easy. But if your solution needs to be integrated with already existing solutions, or multiple solutions are there who are going to be part of main system, then situation will be complex. And if they are going to be integrated with legacy solutions, okay, which are not built based on good practices of solution development, okay, we normally call them spaghetti systems. Mean they are all over the place. If one thing is changed, the whole system stop working. Okay, instead of like a modular type of system. If one module is gone, rest of the modules are still fine. Or multi-platform legacy system where instead of just using on one, for example, operating system, you are using it on multiple operating system, or maybe on multiple different type of devices. So technical complexity, it determines many things while you are choosing your practices. And the last one is domain complexity. Could be very straightforward or could be very, very complex. Again, for example, from a simple website to a very complex product that could be used, for example, any financial industry, or maybe maybe like part of, you can think of like NASA program, etc. Okay, so these are the factors. Any question about these factors? Okay. And after that, another tool. This tool is basically type of decision tree or flow diagram. What this decision tree does, it basically help you to choose a right life cycle, okay, based on your context. It starts from here, and then it keep on asking you questions. Based on that, it helps you to make the decision. We will be going in depth of it soon. Okay, but at the moment, important thing to understand is this is one of the tool that is provided by DA and helps you to choose your right life cycle, either Agile, Lean, or continuous delivery Agile, continuous delivery Lean, maybe exploratory, maybe program life cycle. Now, it's a time for activity. Okay, that is we will be working together because like it's not a big group. We are only 5 to 6 people. We will be taking one example, one case study that is called Team Grocery, who is going to build an app for the grocery shopping. Okay, not very complicated, not very straightforward, but still, we will be using this example to analyze our context. We will be using this example for rest of the 4 steps. Okay, so let's talk about it. Just while we are working, we need to nominate a vice president. So vice president, think of like, okay, you are a team, okay, but you have someone in case where you cannot make the decision, the vice president will make the decision. Okay. Now, who could be our vice president? Sohail?
Okay, fine.
Yeah, cool. Awesome. Thank you, Sohail. So now, this is on page 7 of your activity handbook. Abdurrahman, did you get chance to download activity handbook?
Yes, I downloaded.
That's awesome. So either we can go to that activity handbook, but also here on the screen, the case study or background of this case study is given. Okay, we will try to understand it a bit. The reason is this case study will be used today's session and tomorrow's session. So firstly, Sarah, can you talk about the team component of this case study?
Yeah, sure. We are part of a new online grocery delivery company. Our team is not yet established. We need to put together a small team of 8 to 10 people consisting of some existing people and some new hires. The plan is that we will sit next to each other in the same office space.
Cool, awesome. Umar, process? Oh, unmute.
Thank you. Being a startup, we don't really have a defined way of working. Some team members have experience with Scrum. We are open to new ideas in terms of our way of working going forward.
Okay, yeah, that's awesome. We are very open. That's a key point. We are not the one who just want to do, for example, traditional way. We really want to move further. Product, Charles.
The work seems straightforward. We are building a website that will give customers a new online grocery shopping experience that offers delivery. Some of the team members have e-commerce experience, but we have not built a product together before.
Yep.
We are only going to work on the new website, not other projects.
Okay, yeah. So we are only going to be working on the new website, not other projects. We are a dedicated team. Next, Abdurrahman, schedule.
Yes, everyone is the company in the company is excited to see the new product. The deadline has been set for version 1, which is to be delivered in 8 weeks.
So that's basically our release schedule. For example, we might run 4 iterations of 2 weeks or 8 iterations of 1 week, but our first release would be in 8 weeks. And Sohail, stakeholders?
Our CEO, Chief Executive Officer, is the sponsor. The CTO, the Chief Technology Officer, is also a key stakeholder. They both want frequent progress updates on work and generally want to be kept in the loop. We are also taking potential customers into consideration when building the new product.
Cool. Awesome. So this is a scenario. Based on that scenario, and the first thing we need to do is like we need to analyze the context. Okay, we need to think about many different bits, and we need to develop a spider diagram. And after that, we will be selecting the life cycle. Okay. Now, let's go back to our context. okay, and try to develop it. Okay, so a lot of ink. Let me remove this ink. So I will be quiet. I will be just pointing out, okay, where on the spider diagram our context is. So you guys can just unmute yourself and can discuss that where basically this spider, where our context would be on this spider diagram. So I am on mute. You are on unmute.
Okay. So we have 6 areas to consider. First of all, team size. So let's talk about what team size do we expect to have.
I think they have already
Anyone?
given us they have already given us a team size. They said should
Team
be
size,
8
right.
to 10. So we
8 to
have
10.
it's
So
simple. Yeah.
we are already on 10, on the limit of 10. So we are nearest to the center.
So we are simple on that side.
Okay,
Technical
wonderful.
complexity. Yeah, on the technical complexity size, we are also simple. As I said, that's a website. I think everyone is familiar with website these days.
New standalone solution, fine. And what about the geographic distribution? We are co-located.
Yes, so that's also simple.
Okay.
Because
And,
we are co-located. We are co-located.
And,
it's a new standalone solution.
yeah. And Charles, what about organizational distribution? What should we be selecting from here?
I think we are single division.
Yes, exactly. Sorry.
Which
Sorry,
one?
Charles, to jump in.
Yeah,
Just
it's okay.
helping you.
So what is your choice? Single division?
Yes.
Okay, okay. And Sarah, what about compliance? I think it's not life critical, not financial.
I think it will be financial because
It could be
e-commerce.
financial, yeah.
Yeah, if there is not enough
Okay.
information, they're probably paying online,
Okay.
so they have to be compliant with some financial.
Yeah, I mean,
that means-
there is bank transactions involved in the middle, or maybe refund, or maybe it has to be compliant.
Okay, okay. And the last thing was we have already domain complexity. Is it chaotic? Is it complex, very complex, or straightforward?
Straightforward. I think that's why they gave us this.
Straightforward.
So probably we are on the center, almost on the center in all except for the compliance. So do you want to discuss any more about compliance? Can we bring it down to?
Say, yeah. So I would say if there is not enough information, if assuming that this was cash on delivery, then the compliance is not even financial, I would say. But given that there are bank transactions, because there is no information. So generally speaking, e-commerce sites, I don't know what other part of the world, but in Pakistan when we started off, it was mostly cash on delivery. But now we have gateways, payment gateways, bank integrations, and all that. So I think it should be financial at least.
So basically, our only complexity is compliance. Otherwise, we are well sorted up.
Yeah, true. And so if I draw this spider diagram, so it would be something like, for example, this.
Yes.
So
this is not a spider diagram, but a cockroach.
Yeah, but nevertheless, like this web made by spider is like a bit different. But that's one key point Umar mentioned. That is not enough information available. But think about your own projects. Do you think that you have like quite detailed information available? You aware of your context in much more detail than this very simple scenario? So
someone comes up with from the product side, for example, if you're an engineering team, there is a business idea. The first conversation or the first time that you'll be told, it would be like very vague.
Yeah.
But obviously, when it comes to planning, you have more details than this at least. It's very vague.
True, agreed. And that's the beauty of long-standing stable teams. They already understand many other bits of the business, of the technology within the company, and also about the clients as well. So in the start, when you are not a product team, you are a project team, you might not have enough information as well. But nevertheless, you will have better than this information that is given. So it means that you understand your context very, very well. So it will help you to choose your life cycle. Now let's go to that step and try to reach to the life cycle. Let's talk here. And again, I will be on mute. You will be on unmute. And you will be giving me your final recommendation for the life cycle.
Okay. Let's follow the flow chart. The first one is, has someone else chosen the life cycle to you? So nobody has done that, I think.
So we are
As
choosing
the life
ourselves.
cycle?
I think it should be no.
Okay. No, right. If it is no, the next question is, do you understand what customers want?
Yes. So I won't say no,
Yes.
because then we'll end up with exploratory, and it could be no. By the way, that's
Is it
also,
exploratory, or we know what we want?
I think because not enough information is there, I will say no, and we'll go with exploratory. That's a very strong candidate, but we can move on. Let's keep it as a prospect for now, in our back pocket, and continue march
Okay.
forward. But I
Right.
think it is. I won't rule it out yet, because it could make sense.
Exactly. Exactly. Any other views?
I mean, it's pretty predictive what the customer wants. I mean, even if I'm a
Good.
developer for such an application, I can be a customer. What I can see it from customer perspective, what I want the application to be look like, how it can serve me. So basically, I don't see it much of a no.
So it is. You can say it is exploratory, but practically we almost know how it will function. So the exploratory portion might be less. So probably we won't go for exploratory life cycle. So let's move on the yes. Next question is this a large program requiring a team of teams? Yes or no?
It's the same thing. That information we have. We only one
Again,
team of
we
8
know.
to 10 people.
8 to 10 people.
Yes.
So it is no.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we are not going to be using the program life cycle. Next question is this being funded as a project? So what do you say?
Not enough information. It shows as, okay, I mean, if we go back to the activity, let me open it. It says that our CEO is the sponsor. CTO is the key. They both want frequent progress and updates on the work, and generally want to be kept in the loop. We are also taking potential customers into consideration when building the new product. And the schedule says that a deadline has been set for version 1, which is to be delivered in 8 weeks. So obviously this is not the end of it. There will be continuous support, because this is version 1, and they also want continuous upgrade, information and updates. So it seems like it will be an ongoing effort. And I would say this is version 1, so it hints at there being more further improvement down the road.
But there could be versions in projects also.
Yes.
If you're going for DevOps side, then probably our continuous improvement cycle, then that is a different case. Probably we, okay, what is your opinion? Others? Abdul Rahman?
Actually, I cannot say anything out from the context or from the information if there is should be a funded projects or not. So but I think it should be a funded project as if we consider it as a project. At the end, it's a project. It should be, and there is a sponsor, and there is a project team that should support this project by funding it.
Fine.
Okay,
So
I think
if
let's
we
treat it as a project.
take it as a project, we go for with yes. And in that way, the next question is this low risk something you have done before? Some of us has already having experience in this e-commerce and all. So we might have done it already. What do you say?
But the information says there is some of the team members have e-commerce experience, but we have not built a product together before. Okay, so they're saying there is
That is
e-commerce
okay.
expert.
That
They
is
have not
okay
built
because
a-
team is always going to be new. So as a team, we will never have an experience. But we do have experienced people with us. What do you say?
Yeah, I'm looking at the brief again on the product side, on the activity.
So is it all right if we go with yes or no?
Okay, I think let's make it yes. We have worked on this before.
Right. Seema, are you okay with it?
I
Charles?
think it's Sarah.
Yes, I agree.
Yes, agreed.
Okay. Wonderful.
That's
So the next
team-
question is, does the team have traditional skills, oblique mindset?
we have no
Do we
information
or do
about
we
that.
not?
There is not enough info for I can say for sure. I have gone to the slide. I don't see there is any information on that side. Right. No, it doesn't say that there is any. Does the team have traditional skills mindset? No, there is not enough information on that.
Where do you want to go?
Okay.
Yes or no?
Well, I mean, it will be no then,
No.
because if there is
And
not
what-
enough information, how do you say lack of information, not applicable or not enough information? How do you treat?
I would say
Mhm.
no.
No. Okay, fine. If everybody is saying no, let's go on the no path. And that takes us to the next question. Do you face rapidly changing requirements or priorities?
We haven't released
Are we-
yet, and there is no. I think there is a case for saying no here because this is the first time that's
But
being
you-
built.
Mhm.
There is
As we
no,
produce,
yeah,
as we move ahead and we start delivering, our customer is going to come up with new requirements, isn't it?
but version 1 is
Yeah.
still 8 weeks away, right? So until such time, you can definitely not say that it's rapidly changing.
No, while
Once
the
it's
version
out.
1 is being developed, customer is at liberty to change anything. Who can stop customer?
It's a public facing product, right? So once you have if you're looking at this client as stakeholders, as a chief executive officer and the CTO, again, yes, they are stakeholders.
Mhm.
They can change. But if the environment is not volatile, I would say, if you are in a volatile environment where you're facing with something that you
Okay.
can't even foresee for the next 14 days, I'm considering from that. Yes, you're right. Definitely there could be changes and we can, negotiate on whether it would be in sprint or not, something like that. But if the environment is so volatile that you can't even foresee for 2 weeks and you're changing something every second, third day, then you go for Canvan. That's what I'm saying.
If the answer is no, the next question is, does the team have agile skills and mindset?
No idea. It will be a no, I think, but that's me. Others will also say.
I guess yes. I mean, that's why we are all here.
Exactly. So the answer is yes. Then our selection of the life cycle is agile. Are you all okay with it?
Yes.
Sir, this is our response.
Sir, that's awesome, and you run it very, very well, and we can clearly see that, okay, how this decision tree can help us to choose either exploratory life cycle or any other life cycle. It's not exploratory for sure. The reason is like, we know that we are building an online grocery store, so it's not an exploratory at all. The second thing is, it is project funded. It is told to you that, okay, the team will be working on this project, not any other project. That is telling that, okay, it is a project funded. It is not a product funded. And we are just completing it in 8 weeks. And I agree that if you have an agile mindset, you can go for agile. Okay, that is time boxed. Running into the iterations. Okay, if your mindset is not to go in time boxed fashion, not in iterative fashion, you then we'll be going for lean, and that is more like pull system based, Kanban based, just in time manner. That is like a lean mindset. That is not a bad mindset either. That is very good too. But nevertheless, you chose agile, and I think it's fantastic. It's not compulsory that okay, if we are doing it with other group of students, cohort of students, they choose agile, they might go for lean, they might go for exploratory, but it is your decision, because you are the team who have to make this decision. Now, and that's the exercise we did. Based on this scenario, we analyze the context, and then we select the best life cycle. And in fact, if you see,
Excellent.
yeah,
We've done all of that. Okay. I like this exercise very much, by the way. It was very helpful.
yeah, so it really helps to clarify any missing gaps. And that is basically the end of this exercise. In this session, we talked about business agility, how PMI sees business agility. We talked about complex adaptive system as well. Not today, but last time. This was the missing part that we were doing. That is basically the process for choosing your way of working. Now, this is done. Now we are going for our next session, that is session 5, and where we will be going in depth of all different phases in an agile life cycle. So please allow me to share different set of slides with you.
Do we get a little break?
If you want to take a break, just feel free. We can have like 2 minutes break. What do you think, guys? Or
5 minutes, maybe?
5 minutes break.
Be right back.
So in next 5 topics, we will be going in depth of Discipline Agile Toolkit, but our focus would be towards the solution development team. I hope that you understand that DA Toolkit is very comprehensive. It's not only for solution development, it is for all different teams. But as a Discipline Agile Scrum Master, the scope of work is mostly around the team. So our focus would be DA Toolkit component that is specific to teams. So few housekeeping slides. Before going in depth, elevator pitch. What is an elevator?
Recording is on?
I think so. Recording is on. Let me, yeah, I think the recording is on. Okay, now elevator pitch. What do you think, guys? What is an elevator pitch? What do you think, Abdurrahman?
Sorry, I don't have an idea about
That's all right. Yes.
It is something you pitch to the investors when you have a startup or like an idea.
Yeah.
So you were trying to wow or trying to get
True.
attention.
If you want to pitch an idea in a very short period of time, like in a elevator ride, that would be called elevator pitch.
True. So now they are asking for an activity that is write an elevator pitch for Discipline Agile. You really need not to write an elevator pitch, but maybe just share your elevator pitch for Discipline Agile. What do you think? What is Discipline Agile? How it's beneficial and how it's different from other available products? What do you think, Sarah? If Sarah is not here, Charles, can you convince me that I should go for Discipline Agile? Charles is still not back, so I will come back to Sohail.
Well, I would say, do you really want your projects to be done much earlier at a faster pace, at the same time being highly flexible, not binded to any, preconceived idea of Scrum or anything? So probably that would take on.
That's basically discipline agile for you. Uh, the purpose is like not only completing a training or getting a certification. The important thing is when you are going back to your organizations, how can you use your knowledge you learn from this certification in your teams? And the first step is obviously to convincing them that what you learned could be useful for the team to deliver the business value. So I think that's not for anyone who completes a certification. It's not important that he or she got a certificate or a badge, but important thing is like what he or she learned is an effective thing at workplace or not. So that was the purpose of elevator pitch. Now let's move further and start talking about the practices, the agile practices, the key thing. Okay, doing agile. Uh, in this session, we will be talking about inception phase. And the students who didn't join the previous sessions, for them, I'm going to share this diagram. What is this diagram or life cycle? It is basically an agile life cycle you chose, isn't it? Okay. This agile life cycle helps you to work in an agile way, but in an enterprise aware fashion. That is like you keep your organization, your business environment in mind, your enterprise in mind, while working on your project goals or your team goals. You also think about organizational goals as well, because your funding is coming from portfolio, your product requirements are coming from the product team, and your technical requirements are coming from enterprise architecture team. Based on that, you are able to do the modeling and planning high level, okay, during inception, to identify higher level scope of your project. And then you put that higher level scope into work items. In other agile methods, they call it product backlog. Okay. Once your product backlog is ready, okay, not fully refined, but maybe in a raw form, you start working on your project. You take items priority wise into your iteration backlog, okay, and at this point, basically, when your product backlog is ready, this is a stage where your inception phase, mean start of your project activities are finished, and now you are going for development work, that is construction phase. And here from the work items, you take the top items for each iteration, you build those items and you show it your stakeholders, you conduct your retrospective, you do your daily coordination meeting, so on so forth. And each time when you have your minimum business increment, you can think of your features. When your features are ready, okay, consumable features, you put those features into the production, into the IT operation. This component is your transition phase. So here what we are saying that, okay, this agile life cycle, to whom we call it Scrum Plus life cycle, consist of three phases: inception, construction, transition. Uh, in this session, we will be talking about inception phase or initiation phase. Okay, we will be looking on the processes or process goals, okay, that will help us to make this phase a success. Okay. Any question? Now, normally in the inception phase, what we normally do, we do a very high level planning because that's agile. We must not spend a lot of time on inception phase, maybe maximum 2 weeks, or uh, discipline agile says 11 days. Okay, but nevertheless, not a lot of time. We should only do high level work. The purpose should be just one: our team and our stakeholders, their vision should be same. They should be on the same page. They should have same understanding that what we are going to build. Okay, that's basically our envisioning and high level planning and modeling. Once we are on the same page, we did enough to ready to go. Okay, then we can go for the construction or the development stage. Okay, uh, now in the inception phase, uh, we run many process codes. However, it's very important that why we have phases in discipline agile. Reason, uh, many other methods of agile like Scrum, etc., they don't believe in phases. They say that, okay, we are iterative, phases are from waterfall. Okay, we just run the iterations or sprints. But the thing is, in their initial sprint or their sprint zero, they do all the activities that we do in the inception phase. Okay, once that is done, for example 2 weeks, then they start building the solution. That might be multiple iterations. That is construction phase. And then they also have another sprint. They call it a release sprint. In release sprint, they basically put the solution, transit the solution that is built here into production. But discipline agile call these things openly, call them phases openly. But what is the reason of having these phases? How it helps? What do you think, Swail?
Like you see, we used to have sprint zero. Without having completed sprint zero, we couldn't have started the main project. Similarly, without having done the inception, we cannot go into the other iterations of the main work.
True.
And naturally, once all the work is done, there must be some closing and transition requirements to be met. That would be going into closing.
True. Two key points Swail mentioned. One is it keep us focused. Okay, it keep us focused that what activities we should do when we are starting a project or product, mean our inception. Okay, it gives us very clear idea. Okay, here we should be thinking more about high level scope or strategies for testing, for architecture, strategies for release planning, thinking about how to form the team, how to align ourselves with the organizational vision, how to keep how to basically direct our team as per the direction of our organization, how to secure funding if it is not secured, so on and so forth. It keeps us very, very focused. Okay, so putting in these type of activities in the inception help us to do the right thing on the right time. That's number one. The second is, as Sohail mentioned, that at the end of each, for example, sprint zero or inception phase, there should be few things that should be done. Okay, and that is basically our governance, and that is implemented with the help of, for example, milestones. Okay, so it means that once our inception is done, few milestones should be achieved. And again, in discipline agile, we believe in lightweight, risk-based milestones. We don't believe in detailed documents and artifacts. So at the end of this phase, inception phase, or in fact, any phase, some milestones should be achieved that can give our senior management confidence that, okay, we are doing right. So the phase the milestone that is at the end of inception phase. It is basically alignment of team vision with stakeholder vision. So team and stakeholder should be on the same page at the end of this phase. We should have very clear understanding what we are going to build. Okay, so that's the purpose of phases. So that's what we just talked about. Focus on critical themes. Okay, the second one is the milestone that help us for consistent governance. That's the purpose of phases. Now, I have a question. What about your teams? Are you organized by phases? Umar.
Yeah, currently we are. So basically, there are environmental cutoffs in the delivery that we have. So obviously, we want to reach at a certain stage for determining readiness. That is considered phase. Definitely in terms of things are whether they're in integration or they're still at staging.
True. And what about you, Abdurrahman? You are on mute. Yeah.
Yes, as per my understanding for this concept, I don't think we are, you can say that we are organized by phases, because that's mean each team will be dedicated for this phase, and it will be excluded from the others. Is that right? Or
Oh yeah, true. So not
for in my case, I don't think we don't have. It's not organized by phases.
true.
We are not organized by phases.
Yep. So, but again, where there are milestones, basically, normally those milestones are like at the end of each phase, etc. They might be within the phase, but mostly at the end of each phase. So, makes sense. Let's move further. Talked about process goals. We already understood what are the process goals and how they are distributed into inception, construction, transition, and ongoing. Inception is, again, we are not spending a lot of time. We are doing very high level activities so that our team get going to go to next stage, that is development of the solution. Okay, when we build a solution, we build a consumable solution, and then release into production is our transition, and ongoing is not a phase, as I told you, but this is a category where we do many different processes for the betterment of our team, for delivering the business value. We will talk more about it, but let's have a look. Process goals. 8 process goals into inception. 5 into construction. 2 into transition. And 6, and in fact, plus 3 that are not shown here because they are very, very new. 9 process goals into ongoing category, and this category is applicable from start till end. Our focus of this session would be only inception phase. Now,
I have a question. Sorry.
yes, please.
If you move back to the previous slide, as this is an exam for focus question, so I want to understand if there are 3 new process goals, would they be considered as part of the exam we'll be undertaking, and whether they're covered in the book Choose Your Wow that we got?
And the thing is, like what we are going to learn in the upcoming slides, okay, it will tell you that as a Scrum Master, you really need not to remember all the process goals. You really need not to remember that, okay, what are the agile strategies under each goal diagram or process goal. Okay, only thing you need to learn is how to use this toolkit to help your team to choose your way of working. Okay, so it will be more of how to use this toolkit instead of thinking about, okay, this process goal will be there or not. Okay, again, it will be an open book exam. You will have access to all the resources, including DA web browser, Discipline Agile web browser. We will be basically using DA browser when we are doing these exercises. Now, let's go in depth of Inception. Mm. Abdurrahman, what process goals or activities we do in the start of a project? Can you please read for me?
Form team, forming align with enterprise direction, explore scope, identify architecture strategy, plan the release, and develop test strategy, develop common vision, and secure funding.
So you guys can clearly see that, okay, this is the work normally we do when we start a project, isn't it? So these are the common activities that are being done. Now, do you do something else too?
In the
In
inception
the
phase,
start, yeah, in the start of a project.
understand, identify stakeholders and their different, you know, objectives, priorities, how you would be handling them. I mean, I'm talking about from my PMP background, so you also looking at how
Oh
you
yeah,
want to communicate with them.
yeah. So basically, develop common vision. One of the
Will
component
have
is, yeah, we'll have this thing. Okay, that is like vision between stakeholders and the team. And again, because like this is agile or discipline agile, it's more focus is technology powered projects or software powered projects. Okay, so you will find quite a lot of terminologies from software background. For example, testing strategy. Nevertheless, it's quality assurance or architectural. Though architecture is very common in the telecommunication networks as well, isn't it? Uh, uh, Data architecture or network architecture, so on and so forth. But the good thing is like these terminologies are applicable on many other type of projects. Where you find the uh, most of the challenges out of these 8 activities or goals?
I think all the other things are in our own hand, except for funding. Secure funding for me is a big challenge.
Okay, yeah. So we will be looking at it and see that, okay, what suggestions are available. Okay, uh, and we we will dig deep into secure funding soon. Any other process goal?
I think forming the team also could be somehow challenging also to form the right team and bring all of them together.
True, agreed. So we identified 2 goals where we can dig deep into it, but there are many other goals as well. Okay. Uh, Now, if we want to prioritize, do you think you can rank these goals as per your context? Sarah, what do you think? What will be the highest rank goal where you think that, okay, I should fully understand it and it will be very helpful when I will be doing my job?
I think is identify architecture strategy.
True. Architecture strategy. And so
Starting from the beginning, I think the things start from the formation of the team. So that becomes my first challenge.
true. So we are just ranking, okay, random ranking. I know that I'm not doing the right ranking, but let's try to rank them. What do you think, Umar?
I would go for develop common vision so. This is for everyone, or this is like number 3 should be.
I mean,
I
you
would
can
say
next
okay.
rank. You
So
can think of next rank,
okay, next rank number 3.
next important thing.
I would say explore scope
Yeah.
and then understand what you're trying to build.
And Abdurrahman.
I think there are 2 points here that align with the enterprise direction and develop common vision can be the same.
True. They are similar.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So align with enterprise direction is like you can think of like more of aligning the project with the organizational vision, organizational roadmaps. Develop common vision is more about like for this particular solution that okay, stakeholders and we are on the same page or not. Okay, so 4 and 5, Charles.
In fact, I think plan the release.
Yeah, plan the release. When we are going to put our solution into transition and how we are going to do it. Next.
And develop test strategy.
Yeah, test strategy. And the last one is secure funding. Again, it is very random, arbitrary. When you will be doing this ranking, you might be doing in a different way, but just for the sake of an exercise, we did this ranking. Now, it's not compulsory that you will be using all of these process goals. Maybe you are using all of them, but might not be in very much depth or on the same depth. For you as a DA Scrum Master, it's important that what are your team needs, where your team is struggling. Maybe the team is already formed, maybe funding is already secure, maybe you have issues around developing the test strategies. So your focus might be more on developing test strategies or maybe identifying the architectural strategy, etc. Okay, so your need may change as per your team's context. Now, let's look on few of them. Here at this point, I would like to have your permission uh, to use DA browser instead of slides. What do you think?
Yeah, sure. I was looking at it. It's a good thing.
Okay, cool. So let me share DA browser to you. The guys who didn't hear about DA browser, what Discipline Agile or PMI did for the DA toolkit, they provided you an interactive DA browser. And what DA browser contains? On the left side, it contains these phases: inception, construction, transition, and category of ongoing. Under each phase, they put all the process goals. And if you click on one of the process goals, for example, can you see the screen? Okay.
Yeah.
That's good. For example, you click on the process goal form team. Okay, that was our option number 1. Okay, this goal is elaborated. This goal is further uh, depicted with the help of goal diagram. And you can see that this is the goal diagram. The goal diagram has 3 components. One is the process goal itself, that is form team. The second is when we are forming team, what decisions we make. We call it decision points. Okay. Uh, and you can see that there are quite a lot of different decision points. Okay, are given here. Mean you think about, okay, from where your team will come, what is the source of the team? Okay, what would be the strategy for team evolution? What will be the size of the team? What will be structure of the team? What skills we need in a team? How complete should be your team? How mean your team will be gathered for a project or for your team will be a long-standing stable team. So team longevity, geographical distribution, organizational distribution, time zone distribution, how you will support your team, and what about the availability of team members. And again, we are thinking in an agile way. And for each of these decision points, agile strategies are provided to you. Okay. Now, because Abdurrahman is here for the first time, I will try to explain you how to read a goal diagram. We understood that goal diagram got three components starting from process goal, decision points, and for each decision point, there are agile strategies provided. Now, Abdurrahman, you can clearly see that few of the strategies are with the arrow, other are
Mhm.
without arrow. Okay,
Yeah.
it means if they are with arrow, it means that the strategy given at the top is the best strategy.
Okay.
The second one is second best, third one is third best, and for example, last one is the last best. Okay,
Mm.
and if there is no arrow given, okay, then no strategy is you can say prioritized. No strategy is basically said that okay, it is the best strategy. Any strategy could be useful. Okay, but discipline agile doesn't say that okay, the top one is the best strategy if there is no arrow. So this is number 1 point. Number 2 point is few of the strategies are given in simple letters, other are in bold and italic. Okay, here for example, best strategy is given in bold and italic. Here best strategy is given bold and italic. But for example, if you go here, not the best strategy is given as a bold and italic, but second best is given. There is a reason behind it. The reason is when you start implementing agile at your workplace, your organization in the start will not be pure agile. They will be very much waterfall, traditional. Slowly they are shifting towards agile. Maybe they become hybrid organization because they adopt using agile. So it might not be possible, or your organization might not like to go for the best agile strategy because it is not feasible for them. In that case, what discipline agile did is they provided you the good starting points. Mean if you cannot go to the top strategy, for example, here, at least you can start with this point. It will be a good starting point. And over the period of time, you will try to evolve. You will try to, you will strive to reach to the best strategy. That's the purpose. Okay. Now, this is how we read goal diagram, but this is not the only information that discipline agile provides. Much more information is provided. For example, if I click here, source of team members, okay, what you will find out, you will find out, okay, for each of the strategy, for example, existing product team, okay, uh, uh, what does it mean existing product team? It's definition. And also the trade-off. Trade-off mean if you will have existing product team, how it is useful, in which scenarios it is useful, it in which scenario it might not be useful, and what could be the challenges, what could be the advantages of having an existing product team. Similarly, for next, details are given here. For next, details are given here. Not only this, you can see here additional resources are given. Okay, you can further look into it. Okay, much more data is provided to you. Now, I hope you understood how to read a process goal and goal diagram. Now let's practice a bit. What do you think, guys? Let's make some decisions about farming team. Sohail, what decision you would like to make? Where you are more worried? Size of the team? So, yeah.
Competence of the people, experience, competence.
Yeah,
That
member,
would be
this one?
the master skills, yeah.
Yeah, member skills. So,
Member skills.
yeah, so member skills, they say that, okay, one option is you have journalists. Journalists mean the people who got knowledge of everything but don't have expertise of anything. This is the lowest uh, uh, lowest type of skills. The second is specialists. For example, you have engineers, you have programmers, you have database administrators, you have front-end developers, you have back-end developers, you have you have NOC experts, you have RAN experts, you have, for example, uh, optical fiber experts, you have radio frequency experts, you are guys who can work on layer 1 of telecommunication, etc. But important thing is they are expert of one domain. But in Agile, we prefer for journalizing specialists. What does it mean, journalizing specialist? For example, if you are looking for an engineer for your network operations team, do he has some knowledge of, like, for example, radio frequency, or maybe knowledge of like configuring the systems, or maybe working on physical layer, etc. So we call them journalizing specialists. And who are journalizing specialists? These are the people who have specialty in one domain but have journal knowledge in other domain as well. We normally call them T-shaped professionals. Okay, and in Agile world, to reduce the bottlenecks, we prefer to go for journalizing specialists. It is the best strategy and it is a very good starting point. Next, any question about it?
This is also a strategy for keeping the team small.
Yeah, it also helps. It also helps to, like, you have like one person who can do many different work and keeps our team small as well. So what else we can explore further, Charles?
Maybe the team size.
Yeah, team size. So in size team, what are 4 options for us, Charles?
It's large team of teams,
Hmm.
30 plus people. It's medium team of teams, 10 to 50 people, and medium team, 10 to 30, and small team, 2 to 15.
Yeah, so the best way is we should keep our team small, okay, and these team members could be 2 to 15. If we have smaller team, our issues would be much lesser. But again, it is the best option, but not the only option. You might have medium team or a medium team of teams, like in a program, or large team of teams, okay, who are working on many different aspects of a project or of a program. Mm, yes, Sarah. Anything else should we discuss in this process goal?
Maybe the availability of the team members.
Yes, availability of the team members. Now, team members in Agile world, we really want that, okay, our team members should be dedicated for our product or project. It might be, might not be the case. If we have dedicated team, it's fantastic. If not, we might have some part-timers, we might have some contractors, okay, but dedicated team that is recommended by Disciplined Agile. I hope you understand what does it mean, dedicated team.
Yes.
Yeah, the team working on the same product or same project. So I think we explore farm team pretty well. Now let's go to another process goal and try to explore it. Which one you would like to choose? Abdurrahman.
Explore scope.
Explore scope. Let's go for explore scope. When we are exploring scope, okay, we are mostly thinking about, okay, the purpose of a project or a product, mean explore purpose. Then how this project will be used, mean we call it explore usage. That is basically our requirements. Then the way to explore the domain, way to explore the process, explore user experience component, explore journal requirements, explore quality requirements, apply modeling strategy. Mean when we will be identifying scope or planning for scope, we will model our scope, or choose a backlog management strategy. Backlog, I hope you understood what is backlog mean. Backlog is where all the requirements go. You can think of like work breakdown structure, not exactly though, but you can think of where we have all the requirements. And then the last one is level of details of scope document. Now, what do you think, Omar? Which one we should go in more depth?
Can you go to the backlog one that we just exploring?
Surely, surely. Let's talk about uh,
Choose the
choose a backlog management strategy. So how many options are available?
4, right? 5. Lean
Yes.
backlog, agile backlog, requirements, and sequence backlog, and none.
Yeah.
Why is it?
Unsequenced.
Why is none there? Why is there a none? I don't know.
So
Like you don't have any strategy for backlog. Is that what it refers to?
yeah, basically it is more about you don't keep a backlog. Your project is that simple, or you have everything in your mind. Okay, so that's obviously not the strategy at all. Then unsequenced backlog. Okay, from name we can see that what is unsequenced backlog. But good thing is don't go uh, on our memory. Just click on it and get this. That's the beauty. Okay, all the details are given here. None mean no backlog. Unsequenced backlog is uh, we don't have any priority of the backlog. And then requirements or product backlog that is used in Scrum method, it is at number 3. It means that it's not only product backlog that could be used to keep the requirements. Many other ways are available. For example, agile backlog or lean backlog. And lean backlog is best. Why? Because this number 3, the product backlog, it normally have the priority of the requirements based on the value, okay, feature value. But lean backlog is much more than that. It not only consider the prioritization based on the value, but also based on the risk, based on the dependencies, based on based on many other factors. Not only this lean backlog not only contain the requirements, but many other bits as well. For example, potential work with team knows about. Work items that the team has committed to working on, mean our requirements. Work item the team is currently working on. Work that has been completed. Mean lean backlogs are much more useful than just product backlogs. Again, we really need not to remember everything. What we need to remember is if we are going to decide about, okay, how we are going to keep our requirements, okay, these are the options available. We can go, we can read it, we can go in depth, can further research, and then start using it.
Are there any resources, extract resources for this? Explore, like there were some additional resources, I think.
There are always some other resources available, but again, as I told you, they are evolving their toolkit on ongoing basis. They made many available, but still few of them are not available. Anything else should we discuss in exploring scope?
Actually written too small. Can't
Yeah.
read it.
Yeah, I tried to improve it.
Let's talk about explore the process.
Explore the process. Okay. Here, there is no the top recommended priority. You can explore your process using, for example, value stream map. It is a very good technique. In fact, this is a very, very good technique. UML state chart, UML activity diagram, flow chart. Flow charts are very useful, especially when we have very simple processes. Okay. In fact, each process could be explained or uh, could be explored with the help of flowcharts. DFT, this is another technique used in software projects. Business process diagrams. And they call it that, okay, it could be a good starting point. And what is business process diagram? This is the diagram where normally we have 3 layers. One is enterprise level processes, second is core business processes, and the last one is supportive departmental processes. It talks about, okay, in each organization, what are the different processes? It is basically a list of all the processes in the business process diagram. Pretty useful. And then each process could be further explained with the help of, for example, flowcharts, or maybe with the help of value stream map, etc. So this is the explore process. Next, or should we move further?
Sure.
Now let's go and try to look on our last, that is secure funding. And this time it won't be me, it will be you guys who will be helping me to understand this goal diagram. Let's start with Charles. Charles.
Yes. The secure funding. Yes, do you hear me, guys?
Yeah, I can hear you good, Charles. Explain this goal diagram to me.
So in order to secure the funding, we have to first choose the funding strategy.
Yes.
After that, choose the funding scope. And after that, access funds.
Yeah, and here again, these decision points are not in sequence. Okay. So don't think that always we will go for funding strategy first, then funding scope, then access funds. Okay, so they are not in sequence. And now, when we talk about funding strategy, which one is best? Yeah.
Yes.
Which one is best funding strategy? Charles.
Yes.
Which one is best funding strategy?
Time and material stage gate.
Yeah, no. The best funding strategy is charge by feature. Okay, the first one, this one.
Oh.
Okay.
Because there is the arrow.
Yeah, there is an arrow. So the top one is best funding strategy. However, maybe your supplier, or maybe if you are a supplier, your client, they're not happy with charge by feature, because they are still with traditional mindset. You are pure agile, they might not be pure agile. They won't prefer charge by feature. They will not go for contract that is based on charge by feature. Maybe they want to do something else. And for that purpose, where you both are not fully agile, the good starting points are these two: time and material and stage gate.
Target.
Yeah.
Great.
Stage gate. And then next, Sarah, next decision point.
Choosing the funding scope.
Yes.
Value stream.
Yeah, value stream is the best one. But again, we have seen that funding normally, how your organization give funding, Sarah? Do they fund projects or products?
We fund products.
Products. That's awesome. I mean, you are already in a good shape, on a good starting point. Okay, that is like you fund products then instead of just a project. Okay.
Yes.
It has many advantages, and it is a very good starting point. But you may strive for value streams, where your funding is based on value streams.
What does value stream mean?
So when we are talking about value stream, here we don't talk about only product team. Here we talk about the whole journey a client takes, okay, in your organization. Mean, firstly, when client comes to you, maybe he or she comes through sales. Okay, then sales shifted to the legal department for contracts. Then from legal departments, maybe product or services departments or operation department, and then from their billing department, and from billing department, delivery department, then customer success department, who basically ensure that okay, customer use the product and he or she liked it. So look, this is the whole value stream. It is not just one product.
Okay.
So if your funding is based on value stream, there are strong chances that you will be deliver real value to your customers. Okay, and your products and services would be the one who really customer wanna consume it, wanna use it. We will look an example of value stream in our discussions. And then access funds. Umar. Mute.
So how we want to make the funding available to your team members, like whether they will launch an informal request or a formal request, or if there will be a pool that they can just use as they need. So the recommendation is to have a funding pool, but a good starting point is to have an informal request. It could be like conversation. I don't know what's considered as informal, but I think informal, formal depends on the organization's culture. Like launch a form, or even an email can be considered as informal in some places, but in some cases email is formal. So
yeah, true. Agreed. Maybe filling the form is more formal. Email is like informal. Funding pool is you just go and use the funds. You are empowered as a team to use your funds, but empowerment comes with the responsibility. So this is how we use our inception phase. Okay. Now let's come back to our main topic. We already spent around 2 hours. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go for a break in 5 minutes. Okay. Once we will be back, we will be discussing about construction phase. But in meanwhile, in just 5 minutes, let's go through the slides and see that, okay, if there is anything missing or important that we can discuss in the inception. So we looked on explore scope, isn't it? Can you see the slides?
Yes.
So we looked on the explore scope, okay, and one of the example they took is explore usage. I mean, that is again the requirements. Explore usage mean requirements. And in Agile world, epic, user stories, and user story maps, you might heard about it, isn't it?
I am not familiar with the user story map. I think maybe it's a dependency diagram between how user stories link with each other, something like that.
Also, it talks about, okay, in which priority user stories will be implemented and who will be implementing those user
Okay, so
stories.
that's your roadmap.
That is like, yeah, you can think of roadmap, but user story map is similar, where you have like, okay, these are, first 4 user stories and then more user stories, etc. First 4 user stories making your walking skeleton, etc., etc. But nevertheless, in agile world, epic user story and user story maps are commonly used. But what discipline agile says that there are many other ways to gather the requirements: use cases, user scenario, UML diagrams, personas, so on, so forth. But good starting point is you can start with epics, user stories, and user story maps. Similarly, they explain plan the release. That is, once you are, it is about planning or thinking about how you will release your solution. And they talked about estimation unit. And this is estimation unit. Uh, so all of you got background in agile, isn't it? Anyone?
Yeah.
Anyone who
Yeah.
doesn't,
Yeah.
who doesn't have no background at all? Okay, the point I want to make is, in the previous slide we talked about user stories, okay, to explore the usage. When we go into construction, okay, we normally size and estimate our user stories, mean how much level of effort is required to complete each user story or each requirement. Many different options available, but uh, for the sake of estimation, the best one is relative points. Relative points are again that planning poker and Fibonacci series. That is basically our relative points. Many other methods like t-shirt sizing, small, medium, high, uh, or normalized points or hours, okay, and that could be used as well. So what they are telling, use user stories to explore the scope, use estimation unit, for example relative points, to determine level of effort, and then uh, also, once you are further defining your requirements and you need to write the quality requirements, then you can use, for example, acceptance criteria and explicit list. Again, I'm not going in depth of any of them. Uh, and it's not compulsory for you to remember, okay, what are technical stories, what is explicit list, or what is acceptance criteria. Important thing for you is you should know that, okay, if I am going to do some work, how I can get help from DA toolkit. But in this particular slide, sorry, in this particular case, I can tell you what they are doing. They said that, okay, we normally have epics. You can think of epics are like big user story. Okay. For example, a big user story is, uh, uh, I want to make an e-commerce website. This is epic. You decompose further epic into features. Okay. And then features into user stories, many user stories, and you know what are user stories very well. So that's why I'm not going in depth of user stories. Then once user stories are written, we put them in product backlog. Okay. And when we take these user stories, for example, user story 1 and 2 into uh, iteration backlog, we do a detailed planning for each user story. For example, user story 1, we determine how much time it will need or how much level of effort it will need. For that sake, they told you that go for relative sizing. Okay, that is a technique based on Fibonacci series or planning poker. You remember we talked about planning poker last time, isn't it? Uh, it will give you an idea that how many story points your user story one will take. Also, when you are exploring your user story one in the iteration backlog, you also explore, okay, how we will say that this user story is completed, this requirement is done. For that sake, we normally write acceptance criteria. Okay, what will be the acceptance criteria of this user story? However, Discipline Agile says that acceptance criteria is not enough. We recommend you use acceptance criteria plus explicit list. Okay. Do you remember we talked about explicit list and acceptance criteria in the last session? Anyone remember?
Yes, we
Yeah,
talked about
acceptance.
the definition of done.
Yeah, DOD, and we talked about acceptance criteria. DOD is basically your explicit list. Okay, this is uh, uh, list of items. Once they are checked, mean your user story is completed. There is a reason behind it, but I'm not going in depth of it. Let's move further and see in our 5-stage process, where are we? We connected the dots. We identify the process goals. And what were those process goals? Explore scope. Another was plan release. Another was again explore scope. Here we determine epic user stories and user story maps. Here we determine the estimation unit, and that is like relative story points. And here we chose the quality assurance criteria, testing criteria called acceptance criteria plus explicit list. Now we have make our choices. Next step is once we make our choices, now practice them and see if they are working or not. If they're not working, maybe you go back and do a different way. Instead of using relative points, you might prefer to go for t-shirt sizing. In fact, you will not do it because relative points are much better. But important thing is you can always go back and improve.
I have a point here.
Yes,
While we have
please.
selected the life cycle,
Yeah.
we will review the life cycle even again, and maybe previously we selected a agile life cycle, and later we realize that we have to go agile, go lean.
True, true.
So we may change our life cycle in the middle of the project.
True, true. You can do it. For example, you prefer, for example, Agile, that is Scrum Plus. Later you realize that, okay, we need a better way. Instead of going directly into Lean or Kanban, you might like to go for Scrum Ban. Scrum Ban is something in the middle of Kanban and Scrum. Okay, and later you can shift towards Kanban. You can do it. Yeah, agreed. So similarly, here in this slide, they are talking about, okay, what is this process goal? Name, develop common vision. Okay. Now, you got some idea about how this toolkit is helpful to us? Abdurrahman, did it make some sense?
It makes some sense. However, just one question about this. Are we going to select specific processes from this only that we will go on? يعني, I mean, should we go through each process?
No, it's not compulsory to go through each process. You need to basically see that, okay, where you need the more help. Okay. Do you have issues in forming team? Do you have issues in like aligning your team direction with the enterprise direction? Where you got the issue, And that is important. Which process goal require teams to do most tailoring? Okay, mean as per your need, you can use all of these process goals. Maybe you want to consult with only one process goal, or maybe 2, 3, and 4 process goals. So it will totally depend on your need. Did I answer your question?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, otherwise I'm happy to discuss further. Now, guys, small exercise before ending. Everyone, I'm sending the link of DA browser to you in the chat. Every one of you have to go choose one process goal, and then out of that process goal, one decision point, and try to choose the strategy. Okay, and this is the exercise that we need to do. Firstly, let me send you the DA browser. It will require PMI login. Do you have PMI login?
Yes.
Okay, that's good.
So I have a question. You were showing this the slide, the previous slide. It's not there anymore. The exercise I did not.
Sorry.
I could not see. So the exercise that we have to do, I could not read it.
No, exercise I'm telling you, I'm sharing you.
Okay.
Now on individual basis, okay, you can choose one process goal. You feel that, okay, this is where I really want to go deep into. Here I want to understand because it will be most helpful to me. And then choose one decision point and choose the strategies from there. Once we will be back after the break, you need to tell me that, okay, which process goal choose, why, which decision point you chose and why, and how you found the strategies. And important is not only choose the strategy, read the description of that strategy. Okay, so we will be having a 15 minutes break. Okay, after the break, we will spend some 5 minutes and choose a process goal. Okay.
So the process selection we can do after the break. The break is not for process selection. It's just for us to refresh.
Okay, so let's do like this: 10 minutes break and 5 minutes for selecting the process.
Okay, cool.
Otherwise, we won't be able to cover a lot.
No, that's fine. I'm happy to contribute. That's something I wanted to clarify. That's it.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Okay.
See you in 15. Maybe Sarah is not back. So, Umar, unmute.
Yeah, so we are talking about one process, the full process. So if I talk about develop test strategy, I need to share my understanding for all the decision points or just one or two, because it's a big process.
True.
I did look at all of them. So in develop test strategy, there is a you know how we call it decision point for which kind of test approaches we'll be taking. So in that, I've gone with black box testing, and then in the test staffing strategy, we use manual testers because we don't have enough time to have automation test building project that we have for 2 weeks or 2 months rather, and it's continuously getting ready. So those are the two main that I look at.
So you chose black box testing and manual testing.
Yes.
Yeah. So again, it's not compulsory you think about only that case study. You can think about your own scenarios as well. Abdurrahman.
Okay. So,
Yes. I select the develop common vision. And with the there is a vision strategy, and I think the collaborative is the most most strategy or the best strategy to be used here. And also the formality of vision and communicate the vision.
Yeah.
There is to be to communicate the vision and to be clear with the guys that aligned with. By kickoff meeting is the best strategy for this communication.
True.
Information radiator is also useful here, but I think the kickoff meeting is the most important thing or the best strategy to be used here.
Cool. Awesome. So that's what you choose to develop the common vision.
Yes.
Yeah, that's cool. Thanks, Abdurrahman. And Sarah? Sarah, either you are on mute or I think Sarah is not available yet. Charles. So it looks like Sarah and Charles are not available. Now it's time to move further. Now, one thing we have seen that, okay, we have DA web browser available. That is pretty helpful while choosing our process goals as per our team context and as per our life cycle, and choosing best agile practices to implement those process goals. The next stage is construction or development of the solution or implementation stage. Very, very important, isn't it? Here, what we are going to do is, let me do full screen. Instead of now going back to DA browser, because we have already seen the DA browser, we will just follow the slides, because here we will not only discuss the process goals and the associated practices, we will also be talking about the lean tips that help us to improve our implementation strategies, that help us to deliver the value better in an early and often manner. Okay, so these are the key topics starting from DA construction phase, process goals, practices, and lean tips, and how to make choices in construction phase. Now, firstly, start with the construction phase. Now, what do you think from where construction phase starts?
After the work items have been ordered.
So you can say that, okay, from this point.
Yeah, I think once the architecture is proven, then you can build something, right? It's a milestone, start of the construction.
Now, in fact, if you look here at this point, this is proven architecture. Can you see? This proven architecture is, in fact, in sprint one, in iteration one. Okay, I mean, you spend your first iteration or maybe first week of your construction on proving the architecture or developing the working skeleton. So proven architecture is part of construction. Construction starts when our stakeholder vision and our vision is same. This is end of inception and start of stakeholder vision. So once our work items are ready, not in a very refined form, maybe still very raw, this is start of our construction, and it goes until our solution is ready. Okay, basically this is the point. Okay,
But because we keep revisiting our work items,
yeah,
therefore that is also part of
it. I fully agree. Work items are part of it. We keep on refining them. Okay, so work items Raw form, they are prepared in the inception, that is high level scope, exploring high level scope, but work items are refined continuously. So this is shown here. You can see. So this is our construction phase. Here we have three key milestones. One is proven architecture, this one in the start of construction, then multiple milestones with the name continued viability. What is continued viability? Basically, when we are running our iterations or sprints, at the end of each sprint or iteration, basically we check that, okay, if we are going fine or not. Yeah, okay, when we are demonstrating to stakeholders. At that point, we also make go forward decisions. These go forward decisions are based on this milestone, okay, continued viability. And similarly, evolve your way of working that determine that, okay, should we keep on progressing, or should we change our direction, or should we go back? Should we fail fast and go back and do something else? Okay, leave the whole project as it is. That is killing of the project. Uh, and then the last milestone is sufficient functionality. Our implementation is completed when we produce sufficient functionality. So we know in construction phase, we develop a consumable solution. And what is a consumable solution, Sarah?
I have no idea.
Consumable solution is like, okay, normally you can also call it minimum business increment. Minimum business increment, few people also call it, okay, set of features that are, or you can say working solution, okay, or working software, different names, but consumable solution is more comprehensive name, because like this is a solution that is something our customers want to use, okay. Uh, it is of value to our customers, and also our customers would love to recommend other people to use this solution. So this is called consumable solution. It is not just a software that no one want to use, or no one ever will ever use. This is something our customer will use, will love to use, okay, and will consider it valuable to use, and then recommend others as well. So this is consumable solution. You can think of like in waterfall world, our deliverables, okay, or features of a product, or even a product, okay. Now we already talked about the purpose. Mm, uh, Purpose of each phase. We already talked about the purpose of inception. What do you think? What is the purpose of construction phase, Charles?
In fact, it's to develop the product
Yes,
and test it before going live.
true, true. So a product, a consumable solution we want to develop, okay, that should be meeting stakeholder needs, okay, that should have sufficient functionality to meet uh, our stakeholder needs. Understanding the purpose is key. There is a reason behind it, because if you want your team to be motivated, you want your team to be a high performing team, you remember we need three things. What are those three things? Skill to do the job. Second, autonomy. They should be able to do work in a self-organized fashion. And the last thing was purpose. Purpose of doing the work. And you remember the Inception process goal, develop common vision. What is develop common vision? Or also another goal, aligning with the enterprise direction. This is where basically we define our purpose of our work. Now, how many process goals, Umar, in construction? Umar is not here, isn't it? Abdurrahman, how many process goals in construction
There are
phase?
five
Five.
process goals.
Can you please read for me?
Prove architecture early, address changing stakeholder needs, produce a potentially consumable solution, improve quality, and accelerate value delivery.
True. So all of these goals are very, very important because here we are developing the actual product. Prove architecture early. What is the purpose of it? Because we are talking about agile, and especially agile in the context of technology enabled or technology powered products. Okay, mean that in the end we are developing a software based solution or technology based solution, where proving architecture is very, very important in a sense that, okay, once you will be able to prove that, okay, the architecture you propose, you develop, it is working well. For example, only for one feature or two features, okay, not all of them. Uh, from if you implemented one or two features from start till end, it will confirm your architecture is good. Either it's a data architecture, is it a solution architecture, security architecture, network architecture. Okay. Secondly, it will confirm your technology, that okay, the technology you choose is appropriate to develop the whole solution. So it result in a working skeleton, a structure of your solution, but implemented only for one or two features. Secondly, address changing stakeholder needs. That's agile. We will have like varying scope. Our scope will not be fixed. Stakeholders, as they want, they can put the user stories, they can put their requirements in the product backlog with the help of product owner, and we will be addressing them. And then we will be producing consumable solution, the product itself. How? We will be producing it in an iterative and incremental fashion. Okay. It won't be the case that okay, our product will be ready at the end of 3 months or 6 months. No, we will keep on producing features as a result of each iteration work. Okay, so that our users, our customers can start using the product since start. And then there comes improve quality. Improve quality is very, very key, and we will be going in depth. We will be looking, when we talk about quality, uh, on which points we can assure the quality. Quality at the time of development work, quality at the time of when our work is going to be into production. All these bits we will be learning when we will be talking about improving quality. And accelerate value delivery, that is use those practices through which uh, we can develop, we can produce the value. Value mean something that our customer value it, okay, in a speedy manner, by removing the delays, by applying the lean strategies, etc. Now let's go in depth of many concepts out of these 5 process goals. Okay, but what do you think, if you want to rank it, which process goal will be top priority for you, Sohail?
I would think produce potentially consumable solution for
Very
this
important.
specific scenario. That might be my first priority.
Yeah, that's basically halt of construction, isn't it? This is the core thing, producing consumable solution. And next, Abdurrahman.
Yes, I think accelerate value delivery also
Yeah,
uh,
pretty important.
as one of the agile concepts to accelerate this
True,
the value delivery.
true. And Charles.
Prove architecture early.
Yeah. So developing the working skeleton, or yeah, Sarah.
Address changing stakeholder needs.
And the last one is improve quality. Again, when you will be doing this ranking by yourself, you will be doing it as per your team context, as per your situation. Uh, we already talked about it. Now let's go in depth to these process goals and see that what are the different agile practices available uh, in the discipline agile toolkit. Firstly, look at produce a potentially consumable solution. In fact, our ranking was correct. And so this is the first process goal. And I think it was Sohail who chose it. Uh, Sohail, when we talk about consumable solution, when we want to produce a consumable solution, what decisions normally we make?
Out of the options available here,
Yeah. So basically, these are the options,
okay.
and these are decision points.
Okay, naturally, I plan the work, uh, develop software if it is, if it is a software project. I'm very much against this software thing.
Yeah. True.
Then explore stakeholder needs, explore solution design, write deliverable documentation, and ensure consumability.
So these are the things when we are producing a consumable solution we think about. Okay. Now let's talk about the first item, plan the work. Charles, can you read these agile strategies?
Coordination meetings, daily stand-ups, sprint planning, just-in-time planning, look ahead planning, backlog refinement, release planning program, increment planning, and visualize plan.
True. Now, basically what they are saying that, okay, now your work is start. You are doing the iterations. You are running the sprints. When you will do the planning, what type, how can you plan? Okay, what are the ways? Uh, and there are many different approaches available. Uh, but the best starting points could be, or not the best, good starting points could be, you have, for example, daily stand-ups. You know what are daily stand-ups, Charles?
Yes, it's like 15 minutes meetings daily on a daily basis.
Yeah, and the purpose
So
of
we can discuss what we did yesterday and what we are planning to do today.
agreed. And if there is any issue, uh, just share
Exactly.
that
Yeah,
issue. True.
yes.
So this is for our daily planning. And then there comes iteration planning or sprint planning. When we do this,
By end of the sprint.
in fact, in the start of a sprint, not the end of the sprint.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So for this sprint, we do it here. For this sprint, we do it here. So this is sprint planning where we decide in next 2 weeks, for example, what work we will be doing, what user stories, what features we will be completing. Okay. And then there comes the next concept, release planning. What do you think, Sohail? What is release planning? If you are here, Sohail. You're on mute.
I'm sorry. Release planning is done after the work items have been listed down, and it is revised after every iteration.
Yeah. So release planning is more about a release. Okay. When I say release, it might consist of multiple iterations. Okay. Uh, so think like this: a release is normally 3 months long. Again, there is no hard and fast rule. Uh, where we might have our inception phase, where we might have our construction phase, where we might have our transition phase. Release planning is when we think about for 3 months. Okay, and this is release planning. Uh, Here we talk about, okay, how many iterations will be in the release, how we will plan for each iteration, so on and so forth, how we will deliver the product, etc. So this is release planning. And program increment planning. This is when we say that, okay, when we don't have just one team working in iterations, there are multiple sub teams. As you guys, a few of you are already PGMP, you understand program is combination of projects. Okay, here you can think of program is combination of teams, sub teams, where each team is working on, for example, different set of features. Think about Microsoft 365. Okay, one team is working on SharePoint, another team is working on Outlook, another team is working on Power Apps, another team is working on, for example, Microsoft Sheets. Okay, other is working on data management. So all these are working on different products. Mean they are working in their own iterations, in their own releases. That is program increment. And then last is visualize plan. In Agile world, we believe in transparency. In Agile world, we say that whatever we do, we will know, or our stakeholders will know about it. For that purpose, we make it visual, maybe with the help of information radiators or with the help of Kanban boards or task boards, etc. Any question about it?
I would only like to add that there are certain things which could be ordered here, not exactly because they are not supposed to be in order, but
Yes.
until and unless we do the release planning, we cannot refine the product backlog and we cannot do the iteration planning and things like that. So if there is a sequence, a sense amongst them, then probably this is going to be the sequence.
Firstly, when I was reading these options, I think, to me, that I feel they did it alphabetically in case when there is no order list. So think of
Exactly.
C, I, J, L, R, V. So this is more like alphabetically. That's why they are not in sequence. But I understand your point. It should be in that sequence. Firstly, for example, release planning, then iteration planning, then daily stand up, and then could be visual plan.
Backlog refinement happens before the iteration plan.
Oh yeah, agreed. Backlog refinement is like not a part of this plan the work thing. So that's why. Okay, and then there comes.
I have a comment too. So I think earlier on, Shwesab mentioned once that this is probably a fault that a lot of it is directed towards IT folks. But I have a strong opinion on this. I think Agile is, I don't know what PMI thinks about it, or other people will probably crucify me for saying that. But I feel that if you are not linked with Agile, if you're not linked with IT or involved in some capacity with IT, you will have a hard time understanding Agile because it stemmed from Agile, it stemmed from IT, and a lot of these things probably will not apply to construction, iteration planning or macro. I mean, you need solid plans end to end. If you're building a maybe solar plant or a dam or all of these things, so the problem intrinsically is related with IT. That's why Agile applies to IT, and that's why you have so many IT terms here, and hard to get away from that.
So yeah, the only
We must
thing is,
admit.
yeah, I agreed. But
But
again, on the other side, most of the organizations are becoming IT organizations. Businesses are more and more software powered. Okay,
yeah,
technology powered. Even in the construction, the big enterprises, they use a lot of different softwares. They do a lot of architecture and design work. That work could be done in an agile way. So if not purely agile, still could be hybrid approaches could be used. Uh, so that's one thing. But now again, if you find agile is useful and you are not from IT background, you must understand how agile works and then mold its principles and practices as per your need. Mm. And next is accelerate
Actually,
value.
I have a little, I have a
Yes.
little difference on that.
Yeah, please.
Agility did take birth in IT industry, but now we talk about organizational agility. We are not talking about the software agility in an organization. As far as construction is concerned, because I have been connected with construction as well as with IT, I understand both of them, and therefore I have done some research also on the area of agility.
Uh, is it only?
There is a method of lean manufacturing which is agile by nature, which is called last planner system. So since 1970, construction has been using an agile method without using any software. That is
True.
my point.
Uh, True. So basically, many people say that basis of agile is lean. Okay, and that's true that they overlap on many different places. It could be a very long discussion, but let's carry on discussing our uh, process goals. Now look on next process goal, that is accelerate value delivery. Uh, you can see that it is a very comprehensive process goal. It talks about many different decision points. And Umar, can you quickly go through these decision points?
yeah. So we have choose a deployment strategy, which is like how we want to deploy your solution continuously, or like how you want to release like internally. I think there is a regular release train. Yes, release train is there, so you deploy on a certain cadence, or you have continuous deployment where every time you commit your code, it goes and results in a production ready uh, solution. So that's one thing. Then you want to plan your deployment. Again, CD, if you have to do continuous deployment, that's for internal use or for public use. Google, Amazon, these the big giants now have pipelines which have millions of code submissions, and they're upgrading their version thousands of times within a day. So that's not even an exaggeration. So, and that's why what's continuous deployment is active stakeholder participation, continuous planning. You have automate infrastructure, how you want to infrastructure, how you want to automate infrastructure. There's a lot of details there. I will require time to read through and
True,
understand also.
true. So just
But
decision points, just decision
yeah,
points.
okay. Manage assets, how you want to save your code, everything, and choose a branching strategy, how you want to, again, structure your code around features
Yeah,
and work. Again, very IT terms. I don't think it's a big discussion, but I mean, selling agile and not being related to IT is a little bit hard for
true,
any organization,
true,
PMI
true,
or otherwise.
true. It's not easy. So because like basis of agile was from IT. So choose testing strategies, choose testing types, verify quality of work, maintain traceability. All those things will help us to accelerate our value delivery. Here they just discuss verify quality of work. Many strategies could be used, but informal reviews, definition of done, and static analysis could be good starting points. And then there comes produce a potentially consumable solution again. And here they are talking about ensure consumability, mean the product you are making should be consumable. It shouldn't be a product that, okay, no one wanna use it. And you can check the consumability by doing uh, if you remember, we call about design thinking that result in usability design and consumability design and product demos. All those things confirm that your product is consumable. Now let's come to an important topic, that is how can you build a solution with value, with quality built in by using some lean tips. Okay, everybody understand what is a lean. Lean is where you basically try to build the quality in, okay, and try to reduce your wastes. That's our lean way of working. Uh, now, uh, deliver value quickly. When we talk about deliver value quickly, what lean tips would be helpful? Uh, Sarah, can you please read these lean tips that will help us to deliver value quickly?
Focus on time instead of cost. Focus on removing delays rather than going fast. Achieve flow. Work on smaller things with people fully allocated to the work. Limit batch size.
Yeah. So here what they are saying is uh, our focus should not be on saving cost, but should be on saving time because it will automatically save our cost. There are two ways of saving time. One is going fast. The other one is removing delays. Going fast has issues. It will result in quality issues. It will result in technical debt and bugs. Okay. So better is instead of going fast, try to remove the delays. Try to remove the delays mean try to reduce the unproductive work times. Okay. And that is basically removing the delays. And other lean tip is work on smaller things, mean you should decompose your work into smaller items and then try to complete the smaller items as quickly as you can by reducing the delay. Another thing is people fully allocated to work, dedicated teams, and the people fully allocated to work are they result in quick delivery because they need not to multitasking. Okay, if we are working on multiple projects, there are strong chances, okay, that our speed will slow. Reason is not this that, okay, uh, now we are on one screen and then we change to another screen, mean we shifted to second project. Important is our mind context switching. It takes a lot of time. It is very tough to flush out all the previous things and start focusing on another thing. So that's why people should be fully allocated to one work at a time. And then limit badge size. Mm, badge size and is basically what we are saying is mm, don't work on multiple items at a time. The same thing. Another uh, uh, slide, and here we are talking about what is value. What do you think? What is value, Abdurrahman?
You mean the definition of the value, or
Yeah, definition of value. Mean,
but
yeah,
it's the customer need or customer what's
true,
useful, have
agreed,
some meaning for the customer.
true. In fact, there are two bits of values. One is what your customer consider is important. Okay, so this is one bit. Customer. Most of the agile methods say customer and customer only. What value the customer is the value. But discipline agile says not only the customer, but also what business feel that it is worth to invest. So we must need to understand the mindset. Customer top priority, but also we need to keep business in mind as well. for example, one of the airlines once received a letter from one of their customer. She wrote, okay, I don't like your booking system. I don't like your uh, air hosting arrangements. I don't like your food. I don't like any other system of your airline. So I'm not going to use it. I'm not going to use your airline. So basically, if we just focusing on that customer, then what would happen? We have to invest quite a lot to satisfy all those needs by a customer. Uh, CEO replied of that airline. He replied, "We will miss you." Or in other words, bye bye. It's all right. If you don't want to choose, we don't think that we can invest in all those bits. So no doubt needs come from customer, feedback come from customer, okay, that help you to identify the new initiatives. But again, it is your business who decide that which initiative we need to invest in, which initiative a business give the most value. So both customer and the business is important when we are thinking about value. And then second question is, okay, we understood value. When do you think value is realized?
I think it can be there can be different metrics. Like it can be judged in terms of revenue, in terms of customer growth, or in terms of market reputation. How we want to perceive. Maybe you're the market leader in a certain area. We become the most popular airlines in the country versus maybe it's one that's people hate it, but it's getting the most revenue. So you don't care about your market reputation. You know, you have maybe you found some route that no other airline has, so they have to travel with you. Like for example, in Pakistan, Skardu only PIA travel. So you know something like that you've done, and you're getting the revenue out of it. So I would say that value may be defined differently by different metrics.
Again, in few cases, there could be a monopoly. Because of that, there is profitability. Okay. But again, profitability should not be only measure when we are talking about value realization. It should be more about, for example, I conducted the training. Okay. You already paid me and I all salted. Would it be enough to success of my business? Should I totally forget about you guys? Uh, Believe me, what I have seen, my personal experience is, if I keep on working closely with my aspirants until they complete the certification, and later we got a good connection, and most importantly, if they go back to their companies, their people place, and they use those strategies and give me feedback, okay, yeah, it was helpful, these business analysis techniques were helpful, or like these agile techniques were helpful, then there is the real value, where your customer not only consumed your product but love to consume, and we measured that customer like to use it. For example, there is one technique, mm, we know about surveys and questionnaires that we conduct from our customers, but there is another technique called NPS, Net Promoter Score. Anyone ever use Net Promoter Score? So this is a technique that measure that, okay, uh, how good your customer realize your value. And this NPS says that, Net Promoter Score says that, okay, did your customer recommend your service to someone else? If recommended, that is a real success. That's you measure. Okay, so value is realized when customer consider it important and use it and recommend others. However, timing is important as well. mean you develop the solution, but now the time has passed and your customer don't feel it useful. Visualize value streams. We are talking about value streams again and again. We will see example here, but at the moment it is just an empty, empty block. What it is showing that, okay, a value stream is something when a customer come to you, goes through different departments, different teams, okay, and being served by your organization, by your organizational teams until customer is fully served. Okay, now this value stream should be optimized, should be visual. You can clearly see that, okay, how customer is being served, uh, and how your teams are working, where are bottlenecks, where are delays, where are handoffs, where are handbacks, how can you improve the process to reduce the delay or reduce the waste. Now let's further uh, understand value stream with the help of this video. But before that, let me share the sound. Uh, this video is prepared by PMI so that we can have better idea of value stream. So there will be sound.
One of the tenets of Lean is that you need to visualize the work being done so you can understand and avoid challenges across your value streams. But that brings up an interesting question. What is a value stream? A value stream is the sequence of activities an organization undertakes to deliver a product or service, or a family of related products and services to a customer. A value stream begins and ends with a customer. For example, getting a car repaired might include making an appointment, dropping off the car, ordering parts, making the repairs, payment, and pickup. And just like that, we can visualize one of the value streams for an auto repair business. This particular value stream touches many cross-functional business processes and possibly multiple functions. In this case, to handle appointment scheduling, labor management, customer management, parts inventory, and billing. A value stream may be internal to a company, or it may include external suppliers. A value stream starts and ends with the customer in mind. What problems or needs do they have? What can we do to fulfill them? How can we delight the customer in how we do so? How can we do better? All critical questions you should continually ask as an organization.
I hope it gave you some idea about value streams, and on the way we will keep on learning about value streams. Any question? Okay, let's move further. GRNA time. Sohail.
A value stream begins with a great idea. Yes, begins. Yes, of course, can.
So basically, value stream, it begins with the customer and end with the customer.
Okay.
Yeah, I hope you got the idea. Now, Sarah.
In the example given in the video, value is realized when the customer pays for the service. Nay.
Yeah, exactly. Nay. So it's not about when you get the money, it is when customer is served and he is happy. Okay. Another important component is cost of delay. As we as we talked about that, we shouldn't be focusing more on cost. We should be focusing on time. We should be focusing on reducing the delay. Okay, because what happens with the time, if you are late, your revenue will keep on decreasing and your cost will keep on increasing. That's the relationship between time and revenue and cost. For example, you are a distributor for iPhone in Saudi Arabia, and there is iPhone 13 Pro. Uh, because of your some internal processes, you were not able to launch on time. You were delayed for 2 months, and each month, if you are selling, for example, you are getting profit of 2 million, you lost your 4 million. It's only because of the delay. So lean promotes reducing the delays so that revenue shouldn't be lost, and we can we should basically capture the opportunity on time. Okay. That's just a simple calculation that where they talk about that when you calculate the cost of delay, there is a formula. That formula says that, okay, cost of initial delay, cost of initial delay mean you start selling your iPhone 2 months late. So cost of first 2 months, for example, 2 million plus cost of ongoing delay. For example, you are selling iPhones, the requirement are like, for example, 1,000 iPhones per day, but because of your internal processes, you are providing only 800 phones. So the profit between 800 and 1,000 is like cost of ongoing delay. So it means that you not only think about of initial delay, but ongoing delay. That's the lean. That's how lean promotes reducing the waste in your processes so that you can save a lot of cost. A video. This video is about minimum business increments, guys. As you guys know about Agile, before sharing the video, I just want to comment. You know about the epics, isn't it? What is an epic?
News stories, a feature, big feature that's kind of decompose into multiple backlog items, basically.
Yeah, a big functionality, a major functionality. Okay, that could be completed, for example, in one release or even in multiple releases. Okay, this is very high level. For example, developing the software system for the aeroplanes. Next, it could be further decomposed into features, or you can think of capabilities. Let me write it capability. Capability 1, capability 2, capability 3. And then capabilities are further decomposed into features. Feature 1, feature 2, feature 3. And each feature could be explained with the help of user stories. User story 1, user story 2, etc., etc. Okay. And then these user stories are further divided, further explained with the help of tasks. What tasks are required, what activities are required, plus quality requirements or acceptance criteria. So that's the decomposition of any work in Agile. However, there is a terminology coined by Agilists, especially discipline Agile. They call it MBI. What is their belief? They say that uh, minimum business increment is a concept that believe in something that is adding value in the business. When we are measuring our success, we should be measuring based on minimum business increment instead of how many user stories are completed or how many features are completed. Because, for example, if we complete 2 of these features and then we completed the feature 3 and feature 4. If we are measuring based on features, a single feature, for example, F1 is completed, but might not be of use by the customers, used by the business. However, MBI is something that could be even a single user story, could be single feature, but could be the combination of multiple features. Important thing to know is this is something that is consumable, that is used by the customer, that is of value to the customer. So in this video, we are looking on minimum business increment and how it could be defined. So let me switch on this video.
One of the cornerstones of Agile is to release incrementally. Build something small, release it, learn from the release, pivot if needed, and repeat. That's where a minimum business increment comes in. A minimum business increment is the minimum amount of business value that can be built, deployed, and consumed that makes sense from a business perspective. It contains all the pieces required for realization of value. Minimum business increments offer several benefits. They add value for the customers of the business. They provide valuable feedback that the right functionality is being built. They provide valuable feedback that the functionality is being built the right way. They provide functionality which can be validated as being useful. They enhance the ability of the organization to deliver value in the future. Minimum business increments are created by first determining who your target audience is. This target audience may be external or internal. Then, decide on the scenarios for this market for the business objective in question. Focus on the smallest amount of value that can be built, deployed, and consumed that makes sense from a business perspective. That becomes your minimum business increment. A minimum business increment is not a reason to deliver less. It's a reason to deliver sooner.
So I hope you got idea about MBI. Now, MBI versus MVP. What's the difference between two? Would anyone like to comment?
Until this slide, I think MVP was MBI for me. So
Yeah,
please let me
true,
know.
true,
Because I
exactly.
think it's a new fancy name for MVP. You may call MVP is more big or something, but I think the idea is same for MVP, at least till now that I've been hearing.
Hmm. Okay, confusion. There is a confusion among many different agilists since 1990s. They think that MVP is minimum business increment. Okay, the right definition of minimum viable product is that is for the sake of discovery purpose, not for profit purpose. MVP is not built to sell to the customer. MVPs are built to check that market needs it or not. So in other words, MVP or minimum viable product is for the business, not for the customer. On the other hand, minimum business increments, or you can think of features, these are for the customers. Okay, so what normally happens is, you remember exploratory life cycle? In exploratory life cycle, we develop MVP that you can think of a prototype. Prototype is very simple, but MVP is still a viable product that we put in the market for alpha or beta testing to see that how market respond to it. Again, we don't think that we will be getting any profit out of it. However, it gives a very good feedback about the product. If we find, okay, our MVP is acceptable in the market, then what we do, we keep on adding more and more features into MVP. That is basically our enhancement to the existing product, that is MVP. But important thing is this is MVP is for investment for discovery and MBI is for investment for revenue. Now let's move further. Uh, when you are delivering or when you are planning your releases, you should also schedule and sequence your MBIs in a way that where you can get the most value more quickly. You remember that quote, eat your result first. Okay, eat your most important value or highest value first. That is one of the agile quotation. Uh, Eat your result first. And as a Pakistanis, you might already know about what does it mean, uh, especially on the marriage functions. People normally go for result first, isn't it?
Can you come again? I lost that example.
Okay, let me repeat. On the marriage functions in Pakistan, what people feel first?
Fail fast or
They feel their result first,
okay.
isn't it? The first plate is from the result.
The result? No, not necessarily. I don't know. I think
I have seen people. I have seen people. They put their dessert on their food, and they are mixing and eating it.
Yeah, but important and key point to understand is like you should sequence your MPIs in terms of their value. G or nay time. Charles.
Minimum business increments are about building something quickly to demonstrate to the product owner. Yes, true.
No, I don't think so. This is something that is consumable for our customer, not to show to product owner. Next journey, Sohail.
Benefits of using minimum business increments include adding value to the customer and providing feedback that the right functionality is being built and can be validated as useful. Yeah.
As useful. Yeah. Next is Abdurrahman.
Yes, minimum business increments should be sequenced in order of priority. Yes.
Here,
Oh,
only thing is like in order of priority, why it is a wrong answer? They say that I think I don't agree with this statement though. This priority should be based on value, isn't
yes.
it? True. So they didn't explain it.
Yeah. So the priority is itself based on value, right?
Yeah, true.
So,
It should. Yeah.
okay.
They write this question wrongly, but nevertheless, you got the point, isn't it?
But if it comes with the exam, it will cost us. So even if our concept is correct,
Oh,
but
yeah.
it will help our organization, but it will not help us in the examination.
In the exam. So in exam, if they say priority or value, prefer value over priority.
Okay. All right. So, but we are exam oriented. I think Swelsa, we also want to appear in the exam, right? So if knowledge is one thing, but we obviously want to clear the exam also.
Oh, yeah.
That's why we are here.
Usability. Okay. And other lean tip is ensure value by building quality in. And when we say building quality in, what does it mean, guys?
Basically means that you are making quality assurance part of your process. So it's not a quality is not a different phase or a segment. You're making it in. So that's what.
True. True. In fact, you can build the quality in through continuous validation, continuous integration, and continuous deployment. Continuous validation mean that when you are doing work in the iterations, okay, you are building the quality in, and you are confirming that quality, validating that quality at the end of the sprint. So two components of continuous validation. One is, for example, verification that you are doing work right, and then validation that is at the end of each sprint. The other is continuous integration. Umar, as your background is from software, you know about continuous integration, what they do in the continuous integration.
Interdependencies are checked.
Yeah, interdependencies are checked. And for example, if you are building a solution, if you have already built multiple features and then you build another feature, continuous integration is when you integrate this feature here, this feature should be integrated well with the rest of the features. This feature should not impact the functionality of these features. With the adding of this feature, still your solution is working. That is more about continuous integration. And then there comes continuous deployment.
This
That is
relates to unit testing and
integration testing. Yeah, integration.
integration testing and system testing.
True. And regression testing as well. Normally we call it regression testing, where we check the whole solution each time when we add one component of the solution. And continuous deployment is when our work is go into the production, we see that, okay, the work is not only deployable, but consumable as well. And then there comes waste. Sohail was talking about lean. Lean is used in manufacturing industries in 1970. Okay. Another component of lean is lean product development. That is also very similar to the agile. So many terminologies that is used in lean manufacturing are equally applicable in lean product development, but maybe with the different names. For example, waste could be considered as a delay. Let's see some examples of waste. Miscommunication, building the wrong thing, mean rework, building the items of less importance. Again, we didn't sequence as per value, lost realization due to the delay. We developed the product, right product, but we delayed it. Aging information and relearning. All these are key, and you can see that here time is important. If we are delayed in spreading the information or sharing the information, then we will be wasting a lot of time.
Time and money.
Yeah, time and money. And handoffs and handbacks, what are they?
Shifting from one hand to other.
Is handoff. Okay, I mean, we completed a work, we gave to next person, this is handoff. We gave that work to another department, another team, this is handoff. It result in delay. And handback is when our work was returned to us that this work is not of quality. Okay, then we have to do rework. We have to do relearning as well. Defects are defects. Normally defect.
So handbags are, I think, good in a way because that's what quality. I mean, the purpose of having something quality procedure is to make sure that it meets the acceptance criteria, right?
Yeah. So if our quality will be built in, then there will be no handback.
So that's what I'm saying. So in your internal process, so for example, let's say in the olden days, you would have one, I'm talking a little bit example from software. That's what I have as an example. So if you have a big chunk of work, let's say a big software package that you're giving to a QA team, for example, for testing. So they have lots of features and at the end, they will give you some report. These are the defect list of defects.
Oh,
but if
yeah.
that's something that was departmental handover and handback, right? Now within the process, now you have one, maybe you talk about one user story, you're working on it, and you have the acceptance criteria in that user story. You give it to the QA team, they test it, they find it's not meeting the requirement, they give it back to you. Because ultimately, even at the user story level, someone is checking the work and they don't find it as per spec, they would move it back. You can't avoid that.
Mhm.
It is a delay, but it's natural
Okay.
part of the test.
Okay, so one thing is you should decompose your work into small batches. Okay, by doing that, quality will be improved. And other thing is you can do better practices of, like, for example, pair programming. Pair programming helps a lot to verify that your work is of quality. Similarly, you can go for TDD, that is test. Uh, mm, uh,
Test driven development. Yeah.
Test
Test
driven
driven.
development. Firstly, you write the tests and then you write the code, okay, so that your test could be passed. So these practices help us to reduce the delays. Now we are back to value streams. Uh, Now you can clearly see that how a value stream looks like, where there could be many cross-functional people. Cross-functional people mean people who are doing different work, or cross-functional teams when you are working in a value stream. In a value stream, there could be only one team with cross-functional people. There could be multiple teams. You can see here sales team, and sales team gather the requirements, and then contract by legal team, designed by uh, architects, implementation by the engineers, testing by quality assurance, and then deployment, and then further deployment testing, and deployed the solution that is used by the customer. So here, what we need to do is we have to use those techniques through which we can visualize our value stream. Visualize value stream mean we can identify the gaps, we can identify the delays in our value stream, and how can we optimize those delays. And again, it will include handoffs, handbacks, uh, etc., etc. And value stream mapping is one of the good technique to visualize our value stream. Uh, Anybody use value stream mapping before?
In a way, yes.
Yeah. Value stream mapping gives you a good idea of your process efficiency. We call it ETA. It tells you, okay, this whole process, for example, took 10 hours of time. Out of 10 hours of time, how many hours were productive? For example, 2 hours divided by 10 hours means your process efficiency is 0.2 or 20%. What you need to do is you have to improve your process efficiency by improving the productive time and reducing the unproductive time. You can use a technique, 5 whys. Anyone who didn't hear about 5 whys? Again,
I
5
haven't
whys,
heard about this.
you
I've
never
heard
heard?
about Japanese framework, but not five whys.
Oh,
Five W's. I remember it. What,
okay.
why, when, where, something like that.
Yeah, basically when, sorry, what, when, where, who, uh,
Why?
and yeah, why. Okay. This 5 whys technique is extracted from these 5 W's. And it was proposed by one of the methodologists working in Toyota in 1970s. He was the key person. He was the main process improvement guy who developed the Toyota
This is the
system.
Zachman framework. This is
Sorry?
Zachman framework. It's called Zachman framework. As I think maybe it's a different name.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm not sure. I never heard about it. Yeah, it might be. Yeah, yeah. But the good important thing is 5 whys is where you ask multiple questions 5 times to identify the root cause of a problem. It is said that if you ask questions up to 5 levels, okay, it's not compulsory your question should have a why into it, but important thing is you investigated enough, at least 5 stages, you are able to identify the root cause. For example, if you sold a software to your customer and they are not using it or they are not liking it, how to identify where is the problem? Is it problem with the software or maybe problem with the sales team who sold to the customer without recognizing their needs? Okay. There is an example, 5 whys example. Why are we having to rework the system? Let me remove ink. Guys, what we are trying to do, we are trying to run 5 ways. What happened is a software company sold a solution to the customer, but the solution was not working properly. And the lead engineer has to go again and again to upgrade the system and resolve the problems that was causing a lot of delay, a lot of money. Then if we run 5 ways on it, the first question will be, why are we having to rework the system? The answer is the program don't function properly on customer servers. Next, question 2. Sarah, can you please read?
Why don't the programs function properly on customer servers?
Remember, this question has came out or extracted from the answer. Okay, and the answer is Sarah.
The code was designed one way, but the servers are configured for another way.
Yeah, so that was the issue. Okay, but again, we are at point 2. Let's go to next, Charles. Charles is not here.
Yes, I'm here. Why are the servers being configured differently from expected?
So they identified the answer. Customers are not following our guidelines for server configuration. Okay, that was question 3. Let's go to question 4. Umar.
Why aren't customers following our guidelines?
And they identified that they are not aware of the guidelines. Okay. And then let's go deep into it. Abdurrahman.
Why aren't these customers aware of our guidelines? Although they are supposed to make sure customers know the guidelines, sales is not telling them.
So sales just sold the solution, but they didn't tell that, okay, what else they need to do when they will be using the solution. And then another why, Sohail.
Why isn't sales telling our customer they need to do this? When a customer is ready to buy, sales just wants to get the contract signed.
Yeah. So, the problem was not with the software. Problem was sales sold the solution without fully informing the customers. So by doing that, we can identify the root cause of actual problem. And then here comes JRNA time. Umar.
Handoffs are one way to eliminate waste and delays. Yes.
No.
No.
Handoffs are delays. They are wastes. They are not to eliminate.
So I think I didn't understand the question. Handoffs are one way. Yeah. Like if you want to remove handoff, if you want to eliminate waste and delays, you need to remove handoff. That's how I interpreted the question.
Yeah, true. I can understand. So next question is Charles.
Yes, sorry, I'm here. 5 whys analysis focuses on the tasks and processes within one phase that contribute to waste. It's false.
Yeah. So 5 were focus more on identifying the root causes instead of focusing on tasks and processes. Last, Abdurrahman.
Delays are a major form of waste in software development. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Agreed. Now let's move further. One of the way of implementing lean is Kanban. And lean and Kanban talk about pull system. Let's have a look how pull system help us to reduce the waste, help us to work in a more collaborative fashion. Let's watch this video.
How do you decide when the members of your team start work on something? Plan ahead? Try to figure out when there is capacity to get the job done? Telling people what to work on and when is called push. It's not effective because it presumes you can see when people have capacity for the work, and you usually can't. When you push work onto people that overloads them, you can cause a cascading sequence of small delays that rapidly become big delays. Pull is what happens when those actually doing the work pull it when they're ready. This effectively allows the team to make local decisions on beginning work that improve the global flow. Using pull enables you to manage workflow in the face of uncertain timing of getting tasks done, and that can help limit or even eliminate delays, making your team more efficient.
Any question about pull systems? Pull system is when you don't push the work to the people take the next work once they completed their current work. And in fact, Kanban is based on pull system. Now let's watch a video on Kanban.
This is the Imperial Gardens in Tokyo, Japan. Until a few years ago, you had to get a card to enter the gardens. Cards didn't cost anything, but if there were no cards available, you'd have to wait until one was available. You give the card back when you exit. These cards were an efficient, low-cost way of limiting how many people could be in the gardens at any given time. That's the idea behind a Kanban board. Kanban, literally sign or billboard, is an approach to managing work by means of pull. It shows work in progress. On a Kanban board, each step is represented by a column. Work makes its way across the board, in this case, using sticky notes. To create a Kanban board, you need to start with a value stream or explicit workflow. In this case, we're using a simple process, ordering coffee. A customer enters the store. They are welcomed by the staff. They place an order. They pay for their order. The staff fills their order. They pick up their order. They leave, happily caffeinated. Each step of the process becomes a column on the new Kanban board. And with our column set, we're ready to track orders going through the process. We'll use a yellow sticky note to represent each client. These sticky notes let us visualize the orders going through. To accommodate delays between the steps, we add queues. This is where things wait before moving to the next step. After the customer leaves, there isn't a queue because there isn't a wait. If we really want to understand the process, we need to drill down another layer. We need to understand when an order is ready to transition into the queue for the next step. We need to set some criteria. To move into the order queue, for example, a customer needs to be in the store and ready to order. To move into the pay queue, they must have placed an order, and so on. Queues can signal when we need to rearrange the steps to which staff are allocated. If there are a lot of orders to fill and the register is empty, move the cashier to the food prep. Kanban boards show more than just the work. They also show the entry and exit criteria. That makes them an explicit representation of the agreement on how we're doing the work. We don't follow the board. The board reflects what we think is the best way to work.
So that was a Kanban board, and it's pretty detailed. If you want to go in depth of Kanban, there are quite a lot of material and videos available over internet. Now, let's try to finish this this session with this JRNA activity. Abdurrahman.
Using Bull is a way to manage workflow in the face of uncertain timing for getting tasks done. Using Bull is a way to manage work in the face of uncertainty. No.
Basically, yes, that's true. Pull system help us to manage the workflow when we have uncertain timings or complex situation. So that's true. And then next question, Sarah.
Kanban boards can provide much of the information that value stream maps do. Yay.
Exactly. Now, that is, we already understood construction phase, and we have seen that what are the lean techniques that could be used to accelerate the value delivery. Again, it cover this process 3 and 4, selecting the process goals as per our need and making the agile practice choices as per our need, as per our context. Again, example is shown, but we already understood how to use it. And therefore, I am not going in depth of example. The reason being is it's already 3:30. Many people have to leave on time. And that's the end of today's session. Before moving further, any questions?
I think you had mentioned that there was an offer from you on. I mean, we can stop recording if you want to, but it's related to our examination procedure. So I had one comment on that. But yeah, any no other thing related to the lecture so far.
Okay, cool, awesome. So, what are the 2 points from the construction phase that stood out for you? Sohail?
In construction phase, probably we have to establish a value stream. We have to deliver value. That is something important to me. And Kanban really added a flavor to it because then we can control it as well.
So in construction, we develop the, we produce the value, and lean practices can help us to eliminate the waste and accelerate the value. And one point that is puzzling you, Umar.
What's one idea that's puzzling me? I maybe the value stream mapping. I think that's something I haven't done before, so that's maybe something I would like to know more about.
Yeah, true. And there is quite a lot of detail into value stream mapping and also meaning of value. When I talk about efficiency of value streams, we say productive time and non-productive time. For different people, productive time meaning is different, isn't it? For example, a father makes a muffin for his son over the weekend to spend quality time for him. For father, productive time is different. For son, productive time could be only when he eats the muffin, isn't it? So that's quite a lot into value stream mapping, but we are not going in depth because it's not needed. Any one idea you think you can take back to your teams and use it? Sarah.
I don't have something specific, but the overall thing is actually we're going through, especially in the development of 5 whys for one loss analysis review that we're doing.
True.
So yeah,
that's awesome. Okay, and that was basically end of this today's session and this topic as well. And tomorrow we will be covering 3 topics and finalizing our DASM. Any question, just feel free to ask.
Actually, I wanted to ask you, have you sent us the link for the previous lectures?
No, I didn't send you, but I supposed to send you. I sent to Abdurrahman because like he missed those sessions, but I can send to every one of you.
That would be very useful.
Yeah, surely. Okay. Thank you. Cheers, everyone.